the hate Trump people and the hardcore socialists, what exactly is the disenchantment? Elon Musk has been vilified for uncovering wasteful spending and bloated government hiring. Why? You don't like that? The nation owes $36 trillion. We have to stop adding to the debt. If you don't understand that, the word nitwit applies directly to you. Then we have Americans objecting to deportations. Apparently, they believe tens of thousands of undocumented folks each should have their day in court. Impossible, absurd, anarchy-driven. Let's be honest about that. What else? Trying to get peace in Ukraine and Gaza? Attempting to stop fentanyl? You oppose that? So right now, I'm extremely dubious about the righteousness of the anti-Trump protests. Feels wrong to me. Back after this. For years, we've been told what we can and cannot take, like ivermectin was dismissed, not because it didn't work, but because it threatened big pharma. You should be able to control your health decisions. That's why it's smart to have the essential meds on hand, like ivermectin, antibiotics, and much more. All Family Pharmacy handles everything. Shipped straight to your door. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 for 10% off. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're again looking at a morning freeze, but those temperatures quickly will rise once the sun is up, and temperatures today under sunny skies reaching 56 degrees. We no longer have to worry about a freeze, at least for the extended forecast. By tonight, our temperatures only fall into the 40s, watching Wednesday and Thursday for a chance of showers and some rumbles of thunder possible as well. Dry for the weekend. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
The Trump administration gets a win in court at the Supreme Court level, so he can still continue to deport some of those illegal aliens under the Alien Enemies Act. We're going to bring you the update on that. Is it a conclusive ruling? No, it's one of those just for right now rulings, but we'll explain in just a little bit. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here. Don't forget, this is Election Day. Be sure to get out and vote, especially in St. Louis County. We really want to pass Proposition B. So yes, on Proposition B. Believe me, as soon as my work here at the radio station's done, I'm headed to the voting booth to vote yes on it myself. All right, good morning here, Mike Ferguson. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of the day. Congressman Bob Onder gave us an update from the nation's capital on Monday's program. And yeah, we covered a lot of ground. Here's what he had to say.
Let me start with this question over the judges. Now, you and we have talked about this before, but now we have some specific, legislation that's being drafted, if not being put into the process. And that has to do, for instance, Andy Biggs was talking about that on some of the Sunday morning Talking Head shows. He actually went as far as to say, if these judges step out of their lane, they shouldn't be federal judges at all. So he's kind of throwing down a gauntlet. Let's first assess what's being proposed right now, and then what's your take on how do we balance out that right check and balance between the judiciary and the president, but also make sure that both are in their proper lane at the same time, and the only checks and balances are being done by those who should possess the power of the checks and balances?
Yeah, good morning, guys. It's great to be back. In Federalist 34, Alexander Hamilton called the judiciary, the judges, the least dangerous and the weakest branch of government. But what we're seeing now is individual federal district court judges, not even the Supreme Court or the appellate courts, but the individual district court judges taking it upon themselves to unilaterally issue not just injunctions or equitable relief in the case that they're being asked to preside over, but over the entire country, so-called nationwide injunctions. In other words, every individual district court judge thinks he or she has some sort of veto power over the executive power of the president of the United States. So never mind, 77 million Americans voted for Donald Trump and chose him to run the executive branch of government. A progressive group or a public employee union can judge shop, go to the most liberal district court judge they can find and get a nationwide injunction against the executive power of the president of the United States. Clearly, we're not talking check and balance here at all. We're talking just unelected dictators. So our Constitution never anticipated this. Our legal history never anticipated this. You know, John Marshall and Marbury versus Madison is often cited. That was never anticipated. Judges are there to work out ambiguities in the law or resolve conflicts in the law, and most of all, to resolve disputes between parties. So what we're one thing we are looking at is a bill that we passed out of the House Judiciary Committee about 2.5 weeks ago, Congressman Issa's No Rogue Rulings Act. And what that would do is, again, confine injunctions, other orders to their rightful place of being as between the parties in question and rein in these rogue nationwide injunctions.
Morning, Bob. Gabe here. Arguably, you know, and some people might argue this, that John Roberts is actually the one who should be in charge of dealing with the lower level district courts and managing their conduct. Is it the place of Congress to do this? I guess under separation of powers, or as you said, is it so unprecedented that we're just kind of having to feel our way through it?
Well, good question. Both. So one thing is Judge Roberts simply by a Supreme Court rule could make it clear that nationwide injunctions are not appropriate in cases like the ones we've been talking about, the 100 lawsuits by progressive judges against Donald Trump's executive powers. So there's no question John Roberts could, with a stroke of a pen this morning, solve this problem. But no, Congress is given power over the courts by the U.S. Constitution. Remember, the only court established by our Constitution, and hence the only court not established by Congress, is the U.S. Supreme Court. So Congress could abolish courts altogether. Congress can defund courts. Congress can impeach judges. So there's no question that we would have power to rein in these abuses by these rogue judges.
We're visiting with Congressman Bob Onder, obviously with the tariffs now in place. I mean, I think everybody's had their say. We all know what everybody thinks. I'm not a fan. I disagree. I know there's a lot of people who do. But then there's a bigger question. I want to get your take on this comment from your colleague, Congressman Don Bacon out of Nebraska. He was on Face the Nation this weekend. Basically, and he's echoing kind of something that Rand Paul was saying last week, in that when it comes to applying tariffs or changing them, that really should be something that Congress does. And here's what Congressman Bacon had to say.
It's time that Congress restores its authorities here. And the Constitution is clear. The House and the Senate, Congress has the power of tariffs and taxes. Mm-hmm. And we gave some of that power to the executive branch. And I think in hindsight, that was a mistake.
Does he have a point? Is there something worth discussing and debating? And can that be done in a bigger picture to where it doesn't just have to do with Donald Trump? It has to do with the presidency, with the executive, and with the legislative branch.
Sure. I think he does have a point. You know, Article 1, Section 8 gives Congress the power to, quote, lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, excises, and further to regulate commerce with foreign nations. The problem is that for decades, generations, Congress has been delegating away this tariff power, this regulation of trade power to the president. 1934, the Reciprocal Trade Agreements Act gave President Franklin Roosevelt power to negotiate trade agreements. And then in 1962, the Trade Expansion Act, and in 74, another trade act. And then the one that President Trump has been citing recently, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, which was passed in 1977. So, I think the congressman is right. We have to look at this. I think it is time to make it clear that these are our constitutional powers. But right now we are where we are. And right now, President Trump has imposed these various tariffs. Our hope, again, I likewise am not a fan of tariffs, but I am hopeful that as in the first Trump administration, President Trump will use these tariffs to negotiate better trade agreements with the various nations. Already we're seeing enormous investments or pledges of investments by foreign companies, $100 billion by Taiwan Semiconductor, large investments by automakers. We see Vietnam and Israel coming to the table and saying they want to get rid of all tariffs against U.S. goods. President Trump is the consummate deal maker, and I hope he will make deals, hopefully quickly, so that we can get back to freer, fairer trade.
Okay, we just got a minute or so left here. You've got there's a I don't know if you're in it, but there's a hearing coming up. I guess it's Wednesday that you were telling me. This is going to hear from one of the surgeons who blew the whistle in Texas on what was happening there and here regarding the mutilation of children, in this gender ideology. House Judiciary Committee is going to be hearing this. What is it that's going to be brought up? Because this is one of those topics that's kind of gone under the radar, and I'm glad that it's being put back into the spotlight.
Yeah, this is huge. Yeah, Dr. Edom Heim, he was in his last year of his residency, very end of his medical training, when he realized that despite Texas Children's Hospital announcing they were no longer doing pediatric transgender procedures, mutilation, and chemical castration hormones on kids, despite their announcements to get Attorney General Ken Paxton off of their case because he was going to investigate them for child abuse for doing this stuff. The Biden Justice Department went after Dr. Heim on the day he was due to graduate from his residency program. Two armed Treasury officials showed up at his home and started questioning him. Fortunately, his wife is a lawyer, and she said, "No, we're not answering questions." So they issued him a target letter saying that he was a target of a federal felony investigation. So it was clearly an attempt to intimidate Dr. Heim and to shut up. Similar treatment of a nurse also who blew the whistle at Texas Children's Hospital. So once again, we have an example of the Biden Justice Department weaponizing against its political opponents. In this case, brave doctors and nurses who were trying to protect kids from the quackery of pediatric genital mutilation.
Dr. Bob, you had me with armed Treasury officials.
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah. I mean, and this is a common theme. Pro-life protesters have been swatted, not false, swatting based on false reports, but no, just the Justice Department, the FBI, Treasury, DHS have, they send heavily armed, officers to intimidate. I mean, there's really no other reason. Every other situation, you send a letter, you call the person in question, they talk to their lawyer, you arrange for an interview. But no, this is sheer thuggery, was sheer thuggery on the part of the Biden Justice Department to intimidate political opponents.
All right. So I imagine we'll have a follow-up. We'll discuss about this next week as well, Congressman.
Yeah, and I will be on that Judiciary Committee hearing.
Yep.
Yeah, a very important hearing.
All right, Congressman Bob Onder, thanks so much for the update. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, 314 912-1019. That's how you get involved in the program, or look at one of the many features on the new News Talk STL app. Send us a voicemail, send us a message from there, or just call us right from the app. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I suspect you're not going to have any lines when you go to vote today. Very low voter turnout, which is why we have a great opportunity to elect conservatives to school boards around the area and, of course, pass Proposition B. All right, this is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. We got a lot of ground to cover here starting in just about 3 minutes.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
History, wine, spirits, food, and music, plus an awesome name. That's the Old House in Hog Hollow. This beautiful historic home's been turned into a wine bar and event venue that can host any and all of your gatherings. Take a tour while enjoying a glass of wine and see all the original features that are still around from the 1850s. Open Thursday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and brunch, with live music on select dates paired with wine tasting. Find them at 14319 Olive Boulevard in Chesterfield, or online at oldhouseinhoghollow.com.
Get ready for a night of fun to benefit our heroes at the Heroes Care Mouse Races, Friday, May 16th. Doors open at 6:30 with races kicking off at 7. The night includes raffles, door prizes, a silent auction, and thrilling 50-50 drawing. Support our military heroes while having an absolute blast. Heroes Care is dedicated to supporting military members and their families. And now you can be part of their mission. Tickets and info by calling 636-600-0096 or visit heroescare.org.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
All right, guess what day it is?
Tuesday.
And?
Did it go out and vote?
Election day. Yep, election day. So we have got the chance to make some really important changes here around the metro area. The question is going to remain, will we? Will we do that?
I sure hope so.
Yes. This is Hail to the Chief.
Well, you got to get in the spirit.
I was like, we're not electing that guy. Oh, my goodness. All right. If you just want to remind, I haven't mentioned this in a little bit. The News Talk STL app, the new one, we have updated this, like just overhauled the whole thing. And it really is fantastic. And I'm hoping people are playing around with it and finding ways to get, in touch with the show and find our podcast and all that. And you're still working on, we're probably going to put some videos out.
Yeah, so I do have a tutorial for those that are still having a little bit of trouble figuring out what all the functions do, because there are a lot of things that this app can do that the other one couldn't. But I've been having fun just seeing how fast I can get the little wheels spin. So if nothing else, have fun playing with it,
The wheel of fun.
The wheel of fun.
Yeah. So check that out. And if you've downloaded the app, like when we first went on the air and you're like, I'm good, I've already got it, you might need to update your app manually.
Yes.
So yeah, just double check that. All right, quick overview. Polls open in about 10 minutes on the Missouri side. So remember, Illinois election day was last Tuesday. Missouri side, it's today. Obviously, the biggest races in the area are for the mayor of St. Louis City and Proposition B in St. Louis County. But there are important races all throughout the metro area. So here's what I'm going to do. Throughout the day, basically, as we go into each segment, I'm going to highlight one real quick all throughout the area, just to remind you, you need to get out to vote. And here's the thing is we push this so hard on a conservative station like this because these elections have such a small turnout. I mean, we're talking single digits in some places.
Wow.
Really that low, which means that we can get out there if the conservatives and the libertarians and the free market types actually show up, we can make a lot of difference in a lot of these races, especially in these school board races.
Yeah, you got to put your money where your mouth is and do the walk, not just the talk.
Right. So don't forget your ID, because in Missouri now you got to have your ID. Thank goodness. And then you can vote until 7 p.m. Normally on like big election days, Jerome, because you haven't been on the show while we're having like a primary or general election day yet. So that's 2026. You'll see this.
Oh yeah.
But we're always like, give us a call. Tell us what the lines are like. There won't be any lines today. You're going to walk in. You're going to do your vote. You're going to walk out. You're going to be in and out within minutes.
Yeah, you can probably actually just update the app while you're there voting. Bring some friends out, get the app going, and stay tuned while you're making your voice heard and getting Prop B passed.
That's right, exactly. And by the way, when we get to the news here in just a little bit, we've got an update regarding Proposition B and Sam Page. This is back in the news. You're going to start seeing some headlines on this in the next day or so as well. It's 5:52 right now. Okay, I am not a Minecraft person. I know my wife's sons are like, when they were little, they really liked Minecraft. Is that a video game or is that like a Lego thing? What is Minecraft?
It's a video game that acts like Legos.
Okay. All right. So I was kind of close on that.
Yeah.
So there's a Minecraft movie out now.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's doing really well. It's got like Jack Black in it, and it's got Jason Momoa in it. And so I guess it's like the #1 movie or something.
Wow.
Something like that. But that's not the news, because I don't pay a lot of attention to a lot of them. Last movie I went and saw in the theater, I do like maybe once a year. I went and saw Nosferatu. It's intense. Now you can watch it streaming.
I'm gonna have to look how like intense, because Minecraft is not going to be intense.
No. Minecraft is not intense. Although I'm going to get to why I'm talking about it here in just a second. But I rarely go to movies anymore because I just kind of done with Hollywood. But I love I like vampire movies.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't know that.
One of my guiding principles in life is that the only thing better than a good vampire movie is a bad vampire movie.
Oh,
That's
I like
right.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now Nosferatu, I thought was actually very well done. I thought it was a really good movie. But that's the last time I went to a movie. And I think it's the only time in the last like 2 or 3 years I've gone. But anyway, that has nothing to do with Minecraft. So apparently there's a scene in Minecraft where one of the characters, cartoon characters, not the live action characters, where they scream a phrase called chicken jockey. I don't know how that relates to the plot. I don't know what's going on with it, but the trend now is, and this is real popular, I guess, among the, middle school and high school age, when Jack Black yells that word, and there's video of this all over the place now. All the suburban kids jump up, start screaming, throwing their food and drinks all over the movie theater.
Wow.
Yes. I've found a couple of stories on this, and I've seen a lot of videos, or not a lot. I've seen like 3 or 4 videos on social media about this, where they're doing this. And what you have are like, little Junior, little Timmy, little whatever, jumping up and just screaming and going crazy and throwing this stuff all around. In a couple of different theaters, at least, they've had to call the police on the little suburban white kids who are throwing their popcorn and pop everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
Yeah.
This is why I still feel like MK Ultra never ended, because between this and TikTok trends, it's just like, what compels it? I've been to bad movies. I've been to movies where people are actually booing the screens. They're not all jumping up and having a food fight in the middle of the theater, though.
Yeah, no, it's apparent. This is a planned thing, apparently. So some movie theaters are now putting up like a warning before the movie. We're watching. We will call the police. Do not throw your junk everywhere.
Gosh.
And of course, they think it's funny because a lot of kids are just dumb like that. I mean, we
do it for the meme.
Yeah, exactly. But you know who you're not thinking of when you do that? The poor schleps who's got to clean up everything and mop up your Pepsi or your popcorn or your licorice or your whatever, your milk duds that got embedded in the soft drinks, all of that garbage. So you're just being an idiot when you do that.
Yeah, I worked at a movie theater. I didn't last very long because it's surprisingly intense work. But yeah, you don't have a lot of time to get these theaters cleaned up and prepared for the next group. There are already enough people leaving their junk laying around afterward. It takes 5 seconds to pick up your stuff and throw it away. People, come on.
I've never quite understood that. I see that every time I leave a movie, And because I'm one of those like, well, there's a great big huge trash can right there.
Right
That's
there.
nonverbal communication saying, please dump your trash right there. But every time I walk out, you see all through there, people just dump their stuff and it's everywhere. And I'm thinking, when did we get to this point? When did that become the tradition?
Like, you literally have to walk past the trash cans to get into the theater and out of the theater. If it comes in with you, it should leave with you.
That's easy enough.
Yeah. So please, if you have kids and you're planning on going and seeing this Minecraft movie, don't make their jobs any harder than they have to be because you didn't teach kids stop littering when it's a meme like that. How do you even explain that to a kid though?
I don't know how this started, but then again, I'm starting to sound like the grumpy old man compared to these kids who were, 10, 12, 13, 15.
Yeah, me sound like the grumpy old man too.
I know. But I saw the video and I'm just like, what the heck? What in the world are you thinking? And Jack Black yells that one thing. I have no idea what that has to do with making a mess. And they just lose their freaking minds. It's so stupid. Absolutely stupid. If you look up like on Twitter, if you look up chicken jockey, you're going to find some of the videos.
Now, hopefully people hearing you say that, they don't have kids that are like, oh, that's a keyword. They start throwing stuff around the car,
It's 5:57. They're not awake yet. They're not. All right. A lot of news going on, including Election Day. We're going to keep you updated on what's happening all through the metro area, not just the two biggest races, because there's stuff happening throughout the area. And we'll bring y'all up to date on that starting right around 6:04.
To our brave police officers and first responders, we say thank you for risking your lives to protect us. To all the incredible volunteers who've joined hands with the David Dorn Foundation to raise funds for equipment and services, we extend our heartfelt gratitude. We stand strong with our volunteers who give their time, talent, and dedication as a shield of support for those who rush into danger. The David Dorn Foundation gives a big thank you from our heart to yours. Visit dornfoundation.com and join as a volunteer.
Severs Equipment in Jerseyville is your local Polaris dealer, and they're making incredible deals on 2023, 2024, and 2025 units. Deals that won't require your wife's approval. Deals that will make you want to purchase two. Don't wait, because these Polaris models will move fast. Polaris ATVs and UTVs remain the #1 choice for outdoor enthusiasts. Now is the time to get that toy you deserve, and now is the time for making deals. Stop into Severs now. Don't forget, they've also got a nice selection of used units as well. Check them out at seversequipment.com.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump.
I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it.
That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
I want to hear what people are thinking and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
We are very honored to have on the line with us Professor Cornel West. He's a philosopher and political activist. Dr. West, I want to ask you first, do you consider yourself a member of the Democratic Party?
Oh, Lord, no. No, not at all. I'm not on any plantation. I'm a Jesus-loving free black man.
I love it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Japan among countries planning trade talks with the U.S. after President Trump hiked tariffs, moving them closer to those charged by our trading partners. Now, one of America's big trading partners is China, and Beijing remains defiant, prompting the president to threaten additional 50% tariffs on Chinese imports. One top House Republican says she is committed to helping Mr. Trump win the standoff with our trading partners.
House GOP Conference Chair Lisa McClain of Michigan says the president's tariff strategy is already bearing fruit.
It's been a week. I think you already see people coming to the table.
McClain says there's no question the tariff war will cause some short-term pain, but also says downside has been overblown by some in the media.
Somebody predicted, oh my God, it's going to be a Black Monday today. I think, how'd the Dow close? Right, a point up.
McClain can be the small group of reporters here to share her thoughts on everything from tariffs to the budget and future leadership in the House. Bob Agnew, Capitol Hill.
The Supreme Court has spoken, ruling the Trump administration has the right to deport illegal aliens under the Alien Enemies Act. 5-4 ruling affirming the executive branch's power to enforce immigration policy. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu visited the White House the other day, vowing to quickly eliminate a trade deficit with the U.S., quoting the Prime Minister, "We think it's the right thing to do." Tensions flare along the dividing line between North and South Korea. The South says its soldiers fired warning shots after North Korean troops crossed the border. Florida wins the NCAA Men's Championship, defeating Houston 65-63 in last night's title game. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures suggest a higher open later on. The Dow futures up 710 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 211. The S&P futures up 71 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
World is spiraling out of control. Financial markets are extremely volatile. Global conflicts are escalating and inflation is everywhere. How do you protect yourself when everything's uncertain? The answer is gold. Specifically, the 2025 1-ounce Gold Eagle in flawless NGCMS70 condition from Global Coin. It's a lifeline in these chaotic times. A rock-solid asset that has outperformed for millennia. Call 888-800-1045 right now to lock in this stunning coin for dealer cost. Just $3,199. Free shipping. No sales tax. Secure this tangible asset you can hold today. The first 100 callers get a free MS70 2025 Silver Eagle, 2 U.S. minted legal tender coins to shield you from the storm. Global Coin stands by you with a 30-day return policy because your security matters. Go to globalcoindeal.com or call 888-800-1045 today. They're knowledgeable, professional, and trustworthy. No gimmicks, just incredible coins at incredible prices. 888-800-1045. Call before it's too late.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're again looking at a morning freeze, but those temperatures quickly will rise once the sun is up. And temperatures today under sunny skies reaching 56 degrees. We no longer have to worry about a freeze, at least for the extended forecast. By tonight, our temperatures only fall into the 40s. Watching Wednesday and Thursday for a chance of showers and some rumbles of thunder possible as well. Dry for the weekend. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stiefel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stiefel financial advisor at stiefel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hungry for lunch? Head to Pop's Kitchen downtown. Monday through Thursday, 11 to 2. Grab our unbeatable $7.99 lunch special with fries. Choose from juicy cheeseburgers, Philly steak or chicken, 6-piece wings, 2-piece fish of your choice, or a savory gyro sandwich. Pop's Kitchen downtown, 1330 Washington Avenue, where good food meets great value. Order online at popskitchendowntownstl.com. That's popskitchendowntownstl.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up, St. Louis.
Let's knock it off.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, it's election day, people. Let's make some changes.
Yeah.
Get out there. Do it. All right, the Supreme Court sides with the president and his effort to deport illegals, at least right now. But this was a big win in his favor. And the Blues and the Cardinals both have kind of a tough night. It is 6:05 right now. Let's go ahead and get started with the morning news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, Missouri voters. Here we go. Polls are open. They opened 6 minutes ago. It is election day, and you can vote until 7 p.m. Biggest decisions being made in the metro area, obviously, are the race for mayor in the city and the fate of Proposition B in St. Louis County. which would give the county council more oversight of appointed department heads by allowing a supermajority to fire some of them in extreme situations. Now, these are not the only races, obviously. There are races throughout the entire metro area. So what we're going to see throughout the day, or what we're going to do, Gabe, is I'm just going to quickly highlight different races throughout the metro area.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Also, in Valley Park in the county, Highway 141, just so you know, closed at I-44. That is because of flooding, as the flooding is cresting from those rains a few days ago. So 141 shut down at I-40. You ain't getting through.
No.
So I would say avoid the area, but you don't have a choice.
No.
You're not going to get there whatsoever. So beware of that. And we're starting to see some of the flood crests throughout the metro area. Okay. Speaking of Proposition B here, Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins decides to investigate the accusations against Sam Page.
Finally.
Something.
Yeah. Let's go.
I mean, he turned this around fairly quickly.
That's true.
So a complaint was filed. We talked about this last Thursday, I think it was, something like that. Thursday or Friday. A complaint was filed by watchdog activist Tom Sullivan over Sam Page's use of thousands of taxpayer dollars to campaign against Proposition B. Now, keep in mind, Missouri's law explicitly prohibits the use of public funds and resources to support or oppose any ballot measure or candidate for that matter. And Page approved funding to pay for campaign postcards, which oppose the ballot measure. And I've looked at the cards. We had somebody who received one, send them into us, scan them and send them into us. And there is no question that it is pushing for a no vote. Obviously we want a yes vote, but Sam Page spent like $5,000 of taxpayer money to campaign against this. And it says right on there, paid for by the county of St. Louis, Sam Page executive.
Yeah. See, and the threshold here is, it's not that it doesn't specifically say to vote for it or against it. It's that any reasonable person having read the thing will draw a conclusion as to what is being promoted. And like you said, any reasonable person looking at these things is going to say, it's clearly advocating to vote no on Prop B.
Right, exactly. And and it also says things in there that are just demonstrably false.
Also that
as well. So anyway, once again, you're going to hear it a lot today. Yes on Prop B.
Yes.
In St. Louis County. All right. The Trump administration won a legal victory in its use of a wartime law to deport illegal aliens. Here's the story.
A divided Supreme Court allowed the administration to use the Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan migrants, but said they must get a court hearing before they are taken from the United States. Justices said the Venezuelans must be given reasonable time to go to court, and the conservative majority ruled that legal challenges must take place in Texas instead of a Washington courtroom. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Our buddy Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation in Washington, D.C. is going to be with us at 7:35.
All right.
So this basically strikes down the injunctions that the court in Washington, D.C. had put on for nationally, but it's not saying that the administration has no checks on it from the court. But going into a Texas courtroom, and this is because this is where a lot of these illegal aliens are being held.
Right. It's the jurisdiction of their location.
Jurisdictional issues.
Yeah.
So instead of basically judge shopping, which is what the left has done, they're saying it has to go through this one. So it's not a final victory, and the likelihood is this is going to still work its way up to the Supreme Court, just my guess. But we're going to talk to Mike O'Neill about that at 7:35. All right, Republicans in Congress keep working on their budget, both the Senate and the House, because the Senate passed it over the weekend. Majority Leader John Thune delivered remarks on the Senate floor, saying that the priority is going to be to extend the Trump tax cuts from the president's first term.
In 2017, Republicans delivered tax relief to the American people, but that relief is expiring this year. And if we don't act, American families making less than $400,000 a year will see a $2.6 trillion tax hike next year.
And the bill also includes money for additional border security and national defense.
Now, when you say extend, is that making it permanent or just pushing an expiration date out?
We don't know yet.
Oh, yeah. See, I focus on some of those words sometimes because these guys they're slick. So I don't like that word extend. That doesn't give me the confidence I wanted.
Because then we have this again probably after the next presidential election. And so now what a lot of Republicans are calling for, Bob Onder's been on the program here, and some of the others there, that they want to make these permanent. And
right.
They should just say this is the tax rate.
Right.
You want to change it, then go pass another law. Because what happens now is if you do nothing, then we all get a tax hike.
Right.
And so hopefully the Republicans hold on to their backbone. I'm not wild about the fact that they're also probably going to raise the debt ceiling.
Yeah. That might be one of the concessions that they give over, but I don't know why they would. They don't have to.
Right. No, but we'll just see what kind of backbone they've got.
Yeah,
we'll see. All right. With the tariff talk, did you see yesterday that there was a rumor on social media that the president was going to pause the tariffs for 90 days? It turned out that was not true.
Okay. I didn't even get up in time to see that.
Rumors sent the stock markets way up.
Oh, geez.
And then everybody figured out, that's not true. And then they went back down.
Yep. Volatility is king right now. All of the people who trade the on the derivatives market right now, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Futures.
Not the futures. It's the it's the secondary market.
Oh, okay.
They're making bank because the secondary market lives on volatility.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Yeah, exactly. All right. So at the Oval Office, a lot of reporters were asking about that, including why there weren't any tariffs put on Russia when there were tariffs put on basically everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we're not talking about tariffs with Russia is because we're not doing business essentially with Russia because they're in a war.
And see here, China says they're retaliating with a 34% tariff hike. And now President Trump is threatening to increase tariffs even more on China as well.
I always thought the Russia question was weird. It's just like, well, okay, what percentage of zero is a good tariff? It's like, okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's still which is odd though. It's a weird optics.
I guess
it's a very strange one there. But yeah, so that's there. All right, one of St. Louis's biggest attractions gets national attention. USA Today declares the St. Louis Zoo the 10th best in the nation.
10th.
Yep.
We should be higher.
Did you know that there are like 16,000 critters at the St. Louis Zoo?
No way.
That's a lot. Now,
Wow.
Not all of them are on display.
Sure.
But there's 16,000 animals housed there. Omaha's Dorley Zoo and Aquarium was the #1 ranked attraction. That is a very nice one. I've been there a long time ago. That list was made through an online vote. As one of the people who pays the taxes to give you all the so-called free zoo, you're welcome. I love that. They're like, this is a free zoo. I'm like,
well, we paid for it.
Now, when you look at my tax bill, it's not free. No, it's free admission, but there are many of us who actually pay for that here. All right, the win streak is over, but the Blues are still on top in the wild card race. The 12-game win streak ended with last night's 3-1 loss to the Jets in Winnipeg. I guess we knew it couldn't last forever.
Yeah. I mean, it was historic, though.
Right,
I mean, come on.
Minnesota did not play last night, so the Blues are still 2 points ahead of them.
Mm.
Both teams, though, play tomorrow. The Blues are in Edmonton, and the Wild host the Sharks. So that is potentially a 4-point swing, depending on how those go.
Oh, boy.
So the Wild loses, the Blues win. They're going up 2 more points. If it goes the other way, then you're looking at, a tie or even the Wild going ahead of the Blues. So the big night tomorrow when it comes to that wild card race. And the Cardinals dropped the first game of their series with the Pirates. That's 4 games in a row now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Monday's final score was 8-4. Game 2 of that series is this afternoon at 5:40. Sonny Gray gets his 3rd start of the season. FanDuel is carrying that game.
Don't try to make me stop.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Mike Ferguson, Gabe Pfeiffer. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
Right now, I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to you.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-pressure colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here. Exciting things are happening at the Hideout in High Ridge. Famous for the Sunset Patio, 4 big screen TVs, live music and events, and of course, the wings. The Hideout now has a brand new menu featuring handcrafted burgers and new items like their signature sunset dip and Dave's Chili. And now a second location, the Hideout at Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge, featuring great event space. You can stop by for lunch or dinner. The new 2025 Hideout and the new Hideout at Sugar Creek Golf Course. We'll see you there.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stiefel. Request a portfolio review from your Stiefel financial advisor at stiefel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, what's on the ballot in, let's go to St. Charles County here. Voters in, let's see here, mayors are going to be picked in several communities today. Also, several propositions are on the ballot for school boards, and that's either going to be a tax increase or generally a tax extension. Those ones where they say no tax increase, just vote yes, and poof, money appears.
Lies.
No, that's refinancing or adding financing. It may not mean that they're adding a tax levy, but I guarantee you it's extending what the tax burden is now at some point. So several propositions on the ballot, including Wentzville School District. That's going to be called Proposition L. And then St. Charles School Proposition, which it says here SCSD. In Maryland Heights, there's something called Proposition T.
Yeah,
on the ballot.
Seeing the signs around here.
Yeah, those that is a tax increase. And what that is an online sales tax.
Oh, the T is for taxes.
The T is for taxes, yes.
Okay.
So what's happening here is basically they want to match the sales tax for what you buy off Amazon or whatever with whatever sales tax you would pay if you walked into the store in Maryland Heights. So you're not paying all of those taxes now. So it is a tax increase. So Maryland Heights, if you want to raise taxes on yourself, then that's the way to do it.
It's an internet tariff.
It's an internet tariff. Maybe that's what the T is.
I'm just saying.
I was going to say that.
That's precisely the function that it's serving. It's an internet tariff.
All right. Let's see here. Missouri Secretary of State moves forward with an investigation to Sam Page and his, I would say, apparent but obvious breaking of election laws. We'll get to that here in just a minute. And then let's start this conversation around 6:35 here. The Supreme Court says the deportation of illegals can continue, at least for now. So let's get into the nooks and crannies of it right around 6:35.
May the flights continue.
That's right. Real quick here, guys. This is one of those only on a college campus around academics would this make sense kind of things.
Okay.
And it's at SLU.
Okay. So meaning it's dumb.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but if you say that on a college campus, they would, I cannot believe you would think
I'm in college.
They are the professor. Okay. So St. Louis University got a grant for $538,431 to do some research.
Okay.
That in and of itself is not unusual.
A little over $500,000. I mean, that can pay for some decent research if you direct it well.
Right. And this is coming from the Missouri Health Foundation or Missouri Foundation for Health.
Okay.
And so
it should be medical related or
health related.
Or I mean, health related in general, but yeah.
Right. So what's the $538,431 going to study? It is going to study how to make diapers more accessible to families.
What?
Diapers. How people can access diapers.
Isn't that for the diaper companies to figure out?
Yeah.
There's basically okay, the diaper companies out here, how do we sell more diapers? There's a meeting going on right now someplace, and they're like, how do we sell more diapers? I don't know. Let's get the government to do a research, do some research on how to make them more accessible.
I could solve this study right now.
Yes.
That money that they gave that school, just use it to buy diapers
There you go.
and make them out to people. Like that's
that would
use of that money.
That would buy a lot of diapers. Yeah, $500,000 would buy a lot of diapers.
Yes.
You know, we partner with some organizations that do that sort of things, right? Like doesn't
Reach.
you know,
we partnered with Thrive in the past. That's a big deal. Thrive, I think, still has a diaper sort of bank.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they provide them for women in crisis, right? The ones who are particularly at risk of not having access to it. So just give money to charities.
So
it's so simple.
There it is.
So they're like,
I would only charge $100,000 for that advice.
For that study right
there.
there.
I would.
Because if they say, one of the problems is for a newborn baby or baby who's still in diapers, which baby's going to be in diapers for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Year and a half to 2 years. And they say it could cost $1,000 a year. Yeah, that's part of having a family.
Yeah.
You got to pay for stuff.
That's how that works.
And they say there are people who are needy, and this is so you're going to do a $500,000 study at SLU to say, how do we solve the problem of diapers costing money?
I'm really curious what the final paper report is going to be on this whole thing. Because I think part of the reason why we get these stupid studies is because in order to maintain their accreditation and or maintain their professors, the professors have to be engaged in research in their particular fields. Well, there are some fields where the research, the actual subject matter to be researched is pretty sparse, or they're trying to get away with as minimal effort in research as possible just so they can maintain their various grants. So this is one of those things. You end up with all of these boondoggle studies just basically so these colleges can maintain their professors.
Yeah, you know what's funny is how seriously they take this on college campuses.
Oh, gosh.
This is serious academia.
Yes.
What are you working on right now? And they'll come up with a very fancy way to say to get poop cloth to people.
Diaper studies.
Poop cloth.
Oh my goodness. All right, 624 right now, going on 625 right now. We talked a few days ago about kind of watchdog activist Tom Sullivan filing a complaint about Sam Page's use of taxpayer money to campaign against Proposition B. Well, Sullivan received a notice back from the Secretary of State because he filed it with the Ethics Commission and the Secretary of State's office. And he got a letter back from the Secretary of State saying, we are going to investigate. We are going to move forward with this. If we have any more questions, we'll let you know. And what this has to do with is that $5,000 is what we're being told of public money, taxpayer money that Sam Page used to buy and send postcards, campaign postcards trying to defeat Proposition B, which gives you more reason to show why we really need you to show up to vote for Proposition B. I'm looking at the postcard right now at the very bottom of it, paid for by St. Louis County Executive Sam Page, 41 South Central Avenue, Clayton, Missouri, 63105. And it points out at the very top of the card, remember, this is coming from the government, the St. Louis County Board of Police Commissioners, the St. Louis County NAACP, the St. Louis Labor Council, AFL-CIO, and Greater St. Louis Incorporated all oppose Proposition B. Says it right there.
There you go.
And it shows, and it uses a quote from a county judge who put the initial injunction against Proposition B, which was later overturned as a bad ruling. But it says right on there, using the words opposition. And then you look at the other side, the flip side, it says, what is Proposition B? And it goes on to say some stuff that's just frankly not true. Like, for instance, it says the police chief and all department directors could be removed for political reasons. No, that's
what is it?
Not how that works.
What are you talking about?
It also says a yes vote means directors could be fired during emergencies like snowstorms or public health crises. That's what your tax dollars are paying for. So that's clearly begging you to vote against this, but using taxpayer money to do that. There's no question this is illegal. You don't have to be a lawyer. I've read the law. There's no question that it's illegal. There's also no question that this is clearly unethical. Just basic ethics when you get into office should tell you that you don't do this. Sam Page did it anyway. So the Secretary of State's moving forward. Now, the Secretary of State here's what's interesting. They have subpoena power. The Denny's office has subpoena power. I don't know how much they're going to put into the investigation, because I suspect the Missouri Ethics Commission is going to clearly rule this is unethical and it violated state law. And then he'll get fined, $250 or $500 or something like that. And so the risk is just, it's worth it if you're somebody as unethical as Sam Page and dishonest as Sam Page. So the risk is worth it. But I would be curious to see if they subpoenaed all of the communications related to this postcard, because I've got to think that at some point somebody goes, can we do this? Is this legal? And somebody else saying, doesn't matter. Just do it.
Yeah. So long as you don't say yes or no, vote yes or no.
But even though they did say no, they did say vote.
Oh, they actually did. That's right. That's right.
They said all of these oppose basically the endorsements against.
Right.
I feel like the conversation went, is this legal? Can we do this? And they said, yeah, we're the government. Of course we
Right.
can do it. Who's going to stop us?
Is it that scene from Star Wars? I will make it legal.
That's right. Precisely. So I'm glad to see that that's happening, but that is just highlighting more of the reason why Proposition B is needed. And I don't like tinkering with amendments. The county charter is basically the mini constitution for St. Louis County. This is not something we should be tinkering with all the time, but this will now be the third time in the last 4 years that we've seen something exposed by Sam Page that needs to be addressed, not just now, but to make sure it never happens again. That's why I believe Prop B rises to the level of a legitimate and needed amendment.
Now, Elson is asking what you think the odds of Prop B actually passing are.
I think it's good.
I think it's high.
I think it's good. If we show up to vote, I really think if somebody forced me to make a bet on it, I would bet on Prop B passing. But I don't like to gamble because I don't know what's going to happen. The one thing we cannot do is go, it's fine. Everybody hates Page. They'll go out there. No, we need to show up to vote and then vote against all the tax increases out there, as well. But Proposition B, I think, has a very good chance of passing. I really think we can win this one. And we're going to be covering it, obviously, tomorrow. Former County Councilman Tim Fitch is going to be responding to however the vote goes tomorrow. I mean, we may be licking our wounds and say we didn't get out enough, but don't be the one, if it's a very, very close vote, don't be one of those who sit at home and go, if I just gone to vote and taken my husband, and, if 100 of us had done that, because we've had votes be pretty darn close.
They're very close
in the area. So this is a good one. And obviously some special interest groups aligned with Page they're willing to lie about it. So make sure that we get out there and pass this thing. All right, let's talk getting rid of illegal aliens in this country. Ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court kind of resets the tone of that legal battle. We'll get to that right around 6:35.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So have you heard our new feature, I Heard It on the X? Kenny and I just scroll through X, find some stuff, and read them to you. I Heard It on the X, Wednesday at 9:25.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're again looking at a morning freeze, but those temperatures quickly will rise once the sun is up. And temperatures today under sunny skies reaching 56 degrees. We no longer have to worry about a freeze, at least for the extended forecast. By tonight, our temperatures only fall into the 40s. Watching Wednesday and Thursday for a chance of showers and some rumbles of thunder possible as well. Dry for the weekend. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. You have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of three places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit serenitynowtax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at serenitynowtax.com. That's serenitynowtax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's serenitynowtax.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Have you been injured in an accident? You need a personal injury law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, we've been fighting and winning for St. Louis. $5 billion in negotiated settlements? We've got it. $300 million in verdicts? Done. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row. Onder wins all the time. Car accident, trucking accident, workplace injury. No matter the case, let Onder win for you. When the stakes are high, we're the team you can trust. Wondering what your case is worth? Call now for a free consultation. And remember, we don't get paid unless you win. Dial 314 or 618-9-million. That's 9 then all zeros. Or visit onderwins.com today. Onder Law. Winning is what we do.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Talk to you tonight at 8, but now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL.
Interesting point made here on Rumble. Righty, this is an excellent point that he's making here. He says the unions will have all hands on deck. The amount of influence they have in St. Louis County Public Works is unbelievable. Yes,
that's true.
Do not think this is a gimme. My guess is if you survey the people of St. Louis County, vast majority go, yeah, that makes sense. But most people don't show up to vote, but the special interests are going to try to hold on to power. And there was another note that somebody had said regarding Prop B. What was that one? Because that was that on Facebook?
Yeah, Matthew said that he thinks Page has been gaslighting employees too. That they've heard some people are afraid of losing their jobs because of Prop B, and it shows how little Sam Page actually cares for the people. If anything, he really, really hopes that Prop B passes.
Very specifically, there are like 7, 8, or 9 people total who would have anything to worry about, and only if they screw up so bad that it creates a crisis. You know, if you are not a director who's confirmed by the county council, this doesn't apply to you. the county council cannot go, you know what, that mid-level customer service rep was rude to me on the phone. Let's vote to fire. That's not how this works.
That's not how it works.
That has nothing to do with it. So if Page is in fact doing that, that is gaslighting. And yeah, without a doubt. All right. So what's on the ballot? A few things in Jefferson County. This is interesting. The Crystal City School District has a proposition on the ballot that would, and I don't know why you'd have to do this by a vote, but they are asking voters to establish a 4-day school week for the next 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So a little experiment in education, I guess.
For 10 years.
10 years.
So that's going to be on the ballot in the Crystal City School District. The Sunrise R9 School District wants a operating tax levy increase as well, you know, for stuff. As well. So those are some of the things that are on the ballot. We're going to keep you updated throughout the day here. All right. At least for the moment, President Trump gets a win in court, at least when it comes to his effort to deport illegal aliens. And then we'll get to that here in just a second. Some of the details at 7:35. We're going to visit with Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal Foundation to get the, get the constitutional lawyers' perspective on this, but I can fill you in with the basics on it. Don't forget, we've got Torch the Tax event coming up. Man, this is next week.
It's coming up.
This is a week from tomorrow. I am really surprised to say this, but there are some tickets left, which actually surprises me. So get your tickets reserved. Do you want to meet Kane? Do you want to meet him? You want to meet Glenn Jacobs? If you are even freedom movement adjacent, much less being full-throated freedom movement kind of person, Glenn Jacobs, and not because he was a celebrity in another line of work before, but he is, he's really a rising star in the freedom movement.
Well, the thing too is you have to consider the more bodies we can get to show up places, the more of a message it sends. If politicians say, "Oh, only 12 people showed up to the event," well, we can put that on hold. But if we can pack that place and show that we showed up and made our voices heard, then they're gonna say, "Oh, these people really want this."
Oh, there's a lot more people than that already, but we still have room, so you definitely want to be there. All right, so Supreme Court backing Donald Trump regarding his use of the Alien Enemies Act. Okay, so here's where we are. This is a little bit wonky.
Okay, yeah.
Bottom line, Donald Trump gets a win from the Supreme Court.
All right.
And I know there's a lot of people like mad because of how the vote went and it wasn't unanimous, all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is he got the win.
We'll take the W.
Right. So here's what happened is that ruling that was handed down yesterday lets him to continue to use that law to deport specifically the Venezuelan gang members who are in the country illegally. That's what they're for. Yeah. There you go. Okay. So here's the technical side of this. The court granted the Trump administration's request to strike down Judge Boasberg's order, which had blocked those deportations.
Okay.
So the judge had basically an injunction in place saying the administration cannot keep deporting these illegal alien gang members.
Right. So a block against the admin policy, and now we have a block against the block.
Right. So the block's been lifted, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's where we are right now. And so, of course, the ACLU is opposing the Trump administration on this, which the usual suspects here. And so they're suing literally on behalf of the illegal aliens. They were arguing that the president was exceeding his powers because the Alien Enemies Act authorizes removals only when war has been declared or when the United States has been invaded.
Okay.
Let's think about that.
That second one kind of sounds
think about that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So did you? No. Okay. I thought you were jumping.
No,
okay.
I'm just. It's quite obvious, I think, to anybody with a brain that that applies.
Yeah. The second one is clearly true.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So here's where we are. Is that essentially this Washington D.C. judge has been cut out of the process.
Okay.
So they're saying that now the Supreme Court did say that he still has to get, court authorization, which still sets up another legal matter. Does he? Does he need to get court approval for each and every person who's being deported? So it's a due process issue.
Yeah.
And now there is this issue with this guy who was sent to El Salvador, who apparently was in the country legally. And he was deported, and even the Department of Justice lawyer involved in the case said, yeah, we messed up on that one. And then he's now, because he admitted that they messed up and deported somebody they shouldn't have, Pam Bondi's like suspended that guy.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
And I'm like, well, did he tell the truth or not? That's really all that matters.
Right.
Did he tell the truth? So if somebody and the Pam Bondi and the DOJ basically saying, but we know that he's a high ranking person in MS-13, therefore, you know, we have a right to deport him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that eventually you will, but if they're in the country legally, then there might be a due process issue that the Supreme Court's got to handle.
Right.
I just want it done right so that we don't have hiccups, so we can get rid of the illegal aliens.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to make sure that it's also, you know, fair in that, you know, those who are here legally,
right,
you know, they should have a hearing. They should have the right to challenge the idea that they're being swept in with a bunch of other people, you know? So what I don't want to happen is, you know, kind of the left's narrative on this to actually come true, where they say, well, it's just an innocent immigrant who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, maybe like the guy in Kansas City, you know, during the fire. It's like, well, he's wrong place, wrong time. He ends up getting swept up in the whole craziness. But because of the speed with which we're doing the deportations with the use of this law, he doesn't get his day to exonerate himself. Right. So that's the last thing I want to happen. Because A, it discredits the entire process, and B, you know, I want to protect people's rights. If he's here legally, right, you know, that's important that we protect his rights.
I care about that guy's rights. I don't
yes.
care about the illegal aliens.
Oh yeah,
rights.
I mean, once you're here illegally,
I don't give a crap.
If you get accused of being part of whatever's here, you're here illegally. Go away.
Yeah, wasn't it the 14th Amendment that establishes to get due process, you have to be a citizen of the United States or a state within the Union?
You caught me unprepared to answer that
question.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
Yeah,
okay.
Let me look
that to you during the break.
If I'm unprepared, I will tell you. On the air
exactly. You know what? I'm not sure that's
because
the
my understanding.
The
whole thing with the due process argument is that green cards are not technically citizenship.
Correct.
Permanent residency.
That's correct.
And yes, the Fourth Amendment prevents, you know, unreasonable seizures and stuff like that. But I think it was the fourth, and I'll send all this to you during the break, but the 14th Amendment specifically has the wording of you must be a citizen, not just a permanent resident or dwelling within, to actually have a constitutional right to due process.
See, and that's what will end up in front of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
You know, so I want the process clarified. But this also shows you, and you notice we don't really talk about Joe Biden anymore because he's not the president anymore. He's not, we look forward. We look at what's ahead and we look at what's forward. But this shows you the depth of the damage that he and his administration did to this country, because you can't flip the switch off after a bad administration as easily as you would think. So, for instance, did you see the story out of Kansas City this week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the media is trying to make it a real sympathetic thing, where they're like, this guy was a DACA kid, and then he went back to whatever country that he came here illegally from as a kid,
right,
to be fair.
Okay.
To visit somebody, and then he was stopped at the border and he's not being allowed back in.
Right.
And he's an adult now, like in his 30s or something like that.
Okay.
And they're trying to make him like a victim here. And I'm like, wait a minute, you mean you had decades to get your legal status right?
Right.
And now I'm going to feel sorry for you. You left, and then you wanted to come back in, which would by definition meaning you're coming back in illegally again.
Right.
And they're trying to make him a victim and like, see how awful this is. I'm like, no, that sounds about right.
No, man, that's how this works. Because here's the thing. I don't even understand how it should be even possible to live as an adult without the proper paperwork. You know, as many times as I've had to, bring my birth certificate someplace or have a valid passport, and I have to validate my citizenship for things like that. And I was born here, dang it.
Right.
The fact that some person has been in this country for two decades, at least as a functioning human, and not been caught up in that process. I don't understand. How are you living as a 30-year-old in the country without a legal status? Where did you get your social security number from?
How did you get through school?
Yeah.
How'd you get your, go through the job process? Cause you've at this point. So there are so many more questions that have to be answered. This is nowhere near the final answer on the illegal immigration or the use of the Alien Enemies Act or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get a lot more clarity in less than 1 hour, in about 45 minutes, from Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation. I am telling you, when you end up arguing with your friends and family or people on social media, go in armed with the right knowledge, and you're going to get that from Mike O'Neill. This is the reason he's my go-to guy when it comes to constitutional law stuff. So we're going to have that conversation for you at 6:35. All right, let's get up to date on the news dump here, right around 6:50. Why is Sam Page being investigated again? I will tell you just ahead.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game. It's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
There is no better way to enjoy America's favorite pastime than cheering on the Cardinals with your family at Busch Stadium. From the thrill of watching the game to the kid-friendly activities, food, and fun, the ballpark has it all. Make magical memories as you cheer together for every home run, double play, and Cards win. Your family's summer tradition starts here at Busch Stadium. Grab your tickets today at Cardinals.com. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Are uneven concrete surfaces causing you headaches? Polytime Concrete Leveling and Restoration has the solution. We're a veteran and family-owned business offering long-lasting solutions for all your concrete problems. From precision concrete leveling to our superior restoration services, our precision polyjacking outperforms traditional mudjacking any day. Call Polytime at 636-487-3282 for a free estimate or visit itspolytime.com. Mention Newstalk SDL and get $125 off any job of $600 or more, or 10% off your service.
Get ready for a night of fun to benefit our heroes at the Heroes Care Mouse Races, Friday, May 16th. Doors open at 6:30 with races kicking off at 7. The night includes raffles, door prizes, a silent auction, and thrilling 50-50 drawing. Support our military heroes while having an absolute blast. Heroes Care is dedicated to supporting military members and their families. And now you can be part of their mission. Tickets and info by calling 636-600-0096 or visit heroescare.org.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Aaron Dorr, host of Shall Not Be Infringed, Sunday nights at 9. But now it's more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, it is election day. Let's go ahead and make some changes.
Yes, please.
And here's the thing is it won't take that many of us, but if everybody who's part of the News Talk STL family here, and we're talking on the Missouri side, Illinois elections were last Tuesday. But if we get out above the percentages, because you have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% people show up to vote. But if 50% of the News Talk STL family, I'm hoping even more than that, get out to vote, we can have a huge influence in these April elections. So please get out there. Also, as we were just discussing, the Supreme Court sides with the president on his effort to deport illegals. And we'll get you updated on what happened with the Blues and the Cardinals. Man, this wild card race for the Blues, it is coming down to the wire. It is 6:50. Let's go ahead and do a news dump.
The Morning News Dump
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks,
the morning news dump.
I mean, you've already had your coffee, right? It's time to go ahead and do the news dump.
Oh, yes.
That's how that works.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's how that works.
All right. Missouri voters, polls are open now. It is election day. As you know, you can vote until 7 p.m. Obviously, the biggest decisions being made in the metro are the race for mayor in the city, the fate of Proposition B in St. Louis County. That would give the county council more oversight of appointed department heads, and it would allow them to fire a department head in extreme situations with a super majority vote. If there's an extreme situation, there are races and ballot questions all over the metro area. We're going to get you updated and highlight those throughout the morning here as well. And speaking of Proposition B, Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins decides to investigate accusations against Sam Page. A complaint was filed by watchdog activist Tom Sullivan over Page's use of thousands of taxpayer dollars to campaign against Proposition B. Now, keep in mind, Missouri law explicitly prohibits the use of public funds and resources, be it to support or oppose any ballot measure. You just cannot do that. And that is explicitly what the mailer did that Sam Page paid for with our money. He approved funding to pay for campaign postcards opposing Proposition B. If you want to know another reason why we got to put Sam Page in check, it's because of that. That's why I'm voting among the reasons I'm voting for Proposition B. All right. Trump administration gets a legal victory in its use of a wartime law being used to deport illegal aliens.
A divided Supreme Court allowed the administration to use the Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan migrants, but said they must get a court hearing before they are taken from the United States. Justices said the Venezuelans must be given reasonable time to go to court, and the conservative majority ruled that legal challenges must take place in Texas instead of a Washington courtroom. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, so how much of a hearing is appropriate here? It seems to me that if you're in the country illegally, basically we have identified this person. There is no question who it is. There is no question they're in the country illegally. That should be the beginning, the middle, and the end of the case.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, well, it's a dealer's choice on which law to use to expel them because they're here illegally.
Right. But if that's what the hearing is, saying, no, this is XYZ person, they are in fact in this country illegally.
It's like, okay.
Period. Okay.
Gavel.
Stamp, gone.
Let's go.
That's the way it goes.
My fear is that the reason why they're doing it this way is to give them a chance to then try to claim asylum. Because if you look at our refugee and asylum laws, you just have to declare that you fear for your life going back to your home country, and that now you get to stay until they determine that one.
Now you could literally there's like upheaval in Turks and Caicos.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's a resort. I don't think a lot of people are coming in from there, but you can say that from anywhere because you've got Americans right now saying that they're going to claim asylum in Europe and in Canada.
Good. Please do.
Leave, please. Yeah. And what's funny though too is that back in the day, it used to be that in order to even qualify to get into an asylum court, you had to apply for asylum at a port of entry.
Correct. Yes.
So the thing is, if you bypass that and then later want to claim asylum, I think that's an immediate disqualifier. You didn't go to the port of entry.
I don't mean to stereotype here, but I like the fact that the Supreme Court said that a judge in Texas gets to handle it. I'm just saying I like the chances a little bit better.
I'm just saying,
depending on who's there. All right. Republicans in Congress continue working on the spending plan after passing a so-called blueprint over the weekend. Majority Leader John Thune gave these remarks on the Senate floor, promising to extend the Trump tax cuts from his first term.
In 2017, Republicans delivered tax relief to the American people, but that relief is expiring this year. And if we don't act, American families making less than $400,000 a year will see a $2.6 trillion tax hike next year.
All right. The budget also increases funding for border security and national defense. But unfortunately, the Republicans are toying around with the idea of giving Donald Trump the debt ceiling increase that he wants, which is bad. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't
but
do that.
I think it's all going to get packaged into one, and nobody's going to vote against the tax cuts, making the tax cuts extended or permanent.
Yeah. Now, my fear is that they aren't going to make it permanent. They're going to just extend it because I can see a good number of Republicans saying, hey, this could be one of those wedge issues we use for elections every 4 years. We can say, hey, you want to keep your tax cuts, you have to keep us in power in order to do so. I'm afraid they're desires for maintaining the majority, which I mean, we want to give them majorities, honestly. If they deserve it, might override their good judgment on making the tax cuts.
Well, and the Democrats, they don't want the tax cuts to be permanent, so they may say, okay, fine, another 8 years,
right,
another 10 years, or something like that. So they may do that, but just do the right thing.
Yeah.
I know, weird concept in politics. Do the frickin' right thing,
please.
I'm saying. All right. A couple sports things here. The win streak is over, but the Blues are still on top of the wild card race. So here's the situation. 12-game win streak ended last night with a 3-1 loss to the Jets in Winnipeg. But come on, 12 wins in a row. That's huge.
Boom.
Man, that was great. Minnesota did not play last night, so the Blues are still 2 points ahead of them in the wild card standings. Okay. Both teams play on Wednesday. The Blues are in Edmonton. The Wild are at home against the Sharks. So it is possible that the Wild could catch the Blues. So here's where we're at. The Blues have 3 games left. It looks like the Wild has 4 games left. So essentially, both teams are in control of their own destiny. If both teams win out completely, because I don't think they play each other, then they could end up in a tie mathematically.
Right.
They could end up in a tie. But at some point right now, it's a matter of the Blues need to win 3, the Wild need to win 4, or the Blues need the Wild to win. Frankly, realistically, they need the Wild to lose 2.
That would tie it up.
That's really where the math lies in all of this. But the prospect of playoff hockey in St. Louis, very real right now.
Oh, heck yeah.
The Blues are selling playoff tickets right now.
Yes.
I mean, I saw the ad on TV for it, which is standard, because then at that point, if something goes really wrong, then you just get refunded or credited until next year. But that you can buy playoff tickets right now. So that's how that goes. All right. Cardinals dropped the first game of their series against the Pirates. That's actually 4 losses in a row now for the Cardinals. Monday's final score was 8-4. Game 2 of the series is this afternoon at 5:40. Sonny Gray gets his 3rd start of the season. If you want to watch that game, that's going to be on FanDuel. Sonny Gray won opening day, did not get a decision his 2nd game, so he's 1-0 coming into the game. So Pirates basically same record, so who knows what's going to happen.
Attention St. Charles, looking for a local spot that satisfies all your cravings? Mario's Donut Restaurant is your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches and omelets to delicious gyros, Mexican dishes, salads, and wraps, we've got it all. And don't forget our famous donuts. They're so good, they'll make your eyes glaze over. Dine in or carry out, our friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit. Call 636-447-4515 or visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures, that what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226, or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
This whole thing's got me thinking about how privileged I've been. America's a wonderful country. If I were a black man, I'd be furious. We're getting frustrated.
Number 1 for live and local
conservative talk.
There are certain issues that we need improvement. They would rather have this country on its knees than be successful.
News, analysis, opinion.
We have common sense, and the Democrats have none.
101.9 and 94.1.
And I appreciate the discussion.
St. Louis is number 1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The Trump administration celebrating a legal victory at the nation's highest court. At issue, the administration's use of an 18th century wartime law to deport illegal aliens, including suspected gang members.
A divided Supreme Court allowed the administration to use the Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan migrants, but said they must get a court hearing before they are taken from the United States. Justices said the Venezuelans must be given reasonable time to go to court, and the conservative majority ruled that legal challenges must take place in Texas instead of a Washington courtroom. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Tough talk from China vowing to fight to the end after President Trump threatened an additional 50% tariff on Chinese imports. The BBC's Marika Oy says that means
we're talking about 104% tariffs. That basically means that the price of everything that American companies have been buying from China would basically double.
President Trump says China has been a leader among countries taking advantage of the U.S. through tariffs as well as non-tariff trade barriers. Mr. Trump vowing to finally put a stop to it, adding that he is the only president willing to take this bold step. Looks like Wall Street poised for a turnaround following massive sell-offs prompted by fears of a worldwide trade war. This morning, futures have been solidly higher. Many overseas markets have been doing better as well as more countries, including Japan, reach out to the Trump administration to talk about trade. Iran's foreign minister says he'll be meeting with U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff in Oman this coming weekend. The first negotiations under the Trump administration seeking to halt Tehran's rapidly expanding nuclear program. On Wall Street, the Dow futures up more than 1,000 points. Nasdaq futures 412 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
You want to give your dogs the very best. No matter what they're eating, you should add Dr. Phytos to every bite. Just sit back and watch them lick their bowl clean, knowing they are getting 40 carefully selected ingredients made from whole foods, spices, and fibers from bananas to sweet potatoes. Vet developed, dog trusted. This is the human-grade dog food topper that gives you peace of mind. Go to drphytos.com and subscribe to save $20 each month. That's drphytos.com.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're again looking at a morning freeze, but those temperatures quickly will rise once the sun is up. And temperatures today under sunny skies reaching 56 degrees. We no longer have to worry about a freeze, at least for the extended forecast. By tonight, our temperatures only fall into the 40s. Watching Wednesday and Thursday for a chance of showers and some rumbles of thunder possible as well. Dry for the weekend. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Jewels on Hampton, paying some of the highest prices for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Call 314-752-5000 or visit jewelsonhampton.com.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Springtime often means storms. Don't let a fallen tree ruin your day. Call Hanson's Tree. Look them up at hansonstree.com. Hanson's, your expert insured tree care specialist in the St. Louis region and well beyond. In addition to taking care of all the messes, they can take care of beautiful things as well. Organic mulch, tree trimming, grinding and land clearing, green waste recycling. Let the expert arborist at Hanson's take care of all the tree care for your home or business. 24/7 at hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
Are you tired of taxes? Then prepare for a knockout evening. Americans for Prosperity and News Talk STL proudly present Torch the Tax, an evening with Mayor Glenn Kane Jacobs. The WWE superstar who became mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, is coming to the St. Charles Funny Bone Wednesday, April 16th. Don't miss this unique opportunity to hear from a champion who's now out of the ring and fighting for taxpayers. Get your free tickets now at afpmissouri.com. That's afpmissouri.com.
Mike Ferguson,
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer,
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get Up St. Louis,
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, what's on the ballot in Washington County? Washington County voters are being asked to approve an additional sales tax for the purpose of economic, industrial, and related development.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't read the ballot measure, so I'm not going to comment on that. But I have rarely seen anything where a tax increase for economic development is a good idea. But I will leave that to the voters of Washington County. Also in Washington County, the Junior College District of East Central Missouri. So this is East Central College, basically. They've got a proposition on the ballot asking for they say it's a zero increase, but basically it's a tax levy to fund construction, maintenance, and repairs, operating expenses, and security measures for ECC. So this may be one of those either refinancing or extending the current bonded debt, that sort of thing. So that's going to be in Washington County as well. We're going to bring you up to date and give you those highlights throughout the day as far as what you're voting on. Because I think a lot of people, when you live around the St. Louis area, you think, oh, well, if I'm not in the city voting for mayor, or I'm not in St. Louis County voting for Prop B, then there's nothing for me. Oh, no, there's stuff everywhere.
Everywhere there's stuff
that you're being asked to vote on.
Lots of school board elections all over the place. And we know how those go, how the school board elections go too. If there is a conservative candidate, and that's a big if in some of these areas, then absolutely you definitely need to turn out for them. Now, I think in my race in Ferg Floor, there's really nobody to vote for. But luckily, I don't have a child in the system right now.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like for instance, Chesterfield's electing a new mayor. Today. So there's a lot of those votes. Also, a quick note on traffic. Highway 141 is closed at 64. Or I'm sorry, is this 44? 44. Excuse me, 44.
44.
Yeah. 141 is closed at 44. That is because of flooding. And so you ain't getting through. I saw the video of it. You are not getting through there. Even if you drove around the pylons and the barriers, you're not getting through. No. Trust me, the water's too deep. So
one of those low-lying sections that just can't get rid of the water.
There are warning signs out there. Heed them. Just go a completely different direction.
Now, luckily, we're not getting hit by those historic floods in Kentucky right now. They're entire towns underwater, basically.
Yeah. Salem is people are evacuating as well, and also down in the southeast part of the state. And I don't think we've had the full crest of the floods because a lot of people forget. We're talking about the rains that was last Wednesday, last Thursday, last Friday. But it takes a few days for that to crest.
Yeah.
As we discovered that back in 93.
Yeah. It's when the rain's all over the region, then the water eventually accumulates, and the further down river you go, the bigger the crest. So
so be careful out there. But that specific area, there's a few other roads that the farther south and east, the more likely you are to run into a problem outside of the St. Louis area. But immediately, that's the biggest traffic problem that I'm seeing because of that rain and because of the flooding. All right, 7:09 right now. Just a quick reminder, we've got Torch the Tax. Okay, so on the Missouri side, are we serious about reducing taxes and getting rid of those? We're going to talk to Bill Eigel a little bit later on today around 8:35, not necessarily about this, but Bill, when he was in the state Senate, pushing hard to get rid of income taxes in the state. And so we've got a lot of momentum, but we've been raising the kind of the warning flag here, Gabe, you and I, saying, you know what? We were off to a really good start this legislative session. Looks like the people need to kind of keep pushing to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing some things that bother me.
Yeah, some of these politicians haven't gotten the memo yet that we're actually serious this time. And we really it's like we gave you a job to do. We put you there to do it. We are expecting results this time. I think and hey, people, listeners, voters, back me up on this. There needs to be hell to pay for those who were obstructionists, or certainly for those who were just not engaged in the process. Like they didn't actually want to do it. They were just giving you lip service during the election, and when it came to crunch time, they decided not to perform. They decided to, oh, oops, the clock ran out. They doing that bull crap again. Yeah, let them know in the primaries.
So Tennessee, which has roughly the same population size as Missouri, they don't have a state income tax.
Yeah,
and they do fine.
Yeah,
they also have 2 major urban areas like Missouri does. They do fine.
Yes.
So Glenn Jacobs going to be with us next week. This is a week from tomorrow. You can meet him in person. And I know that there's somebody out there who says, okay, well, I know some friends who would love to go see it, but just because he was a pro wrestler, bring him. Let's have some fun. And I was talking with Camellia from Americans for Prosperity the other day. And I said, Camellia, I said, we definitely need to lean into this thing with him being a Hall of Fame wrestler.
Yeah.
I said, so there will be people who have wrestling questions. I said, great, bring him on. Now he is truly one of the up and coming strong voices of the Liberty movement. His discussion with Matt Kibbe in particular, fascinating. I've met him before. It's been a long time, but I'm telling you, this is a really smart guy. This is going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to have all sorts of kind of intellectual ammunition to go put the pressure on our lawmakers to get rid of this stupid income tax.
Let's go.
Exactly. Or the income tax. Okay. Proposition B, that is being decided as we speak right now. As soon as I'm done, with my work here today, I'm headed right to the polling to vote. And I'm voting for Proposition B. Sam Page is under investigation now by the Secretary of State for his illegal campaigning against it using taxpayer money. He's free to use his political action committees. He's free to use his own money, but he decided to use our money to try to campaign. So that's investigation in there. And it makes you ask the question, why are the special interests so fired up about this? And why is Sam Page freaking out so much over this? Because it puts a check on him. And not just him, but on every county executive. And you may say, well, is this just a Sam Page amendment to the charter? Well, not really. We just didn't know we needed it until Sam Page exposed why we need it.
Yeah, basically under pressure, we're finding out here are the small little pinprick holes that we have in our system, and we're needing to bring in this patchwork of fixes to the charter to make sure another high pressure idiot like Sam Page doesn't get to run roughshod over us.
And I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat.
Right.
And remember, all of this is a very simple change. This does not stop Sam Page from nominating whomever he wants for whatever opening is out there.
Right.
That doesn't stop him. It just says if they screw up so bad, they create a crisis, and a super majority of the council says we have to make a change, they can do it. That's all that it does. It is really that simple. This isn't a matter of they took my parking spot. Hey, let's fire them. No, that's not how this works.
Right. Exactly. You can't do that.
And there are just department heads that are affected by this.
Yeah. It's only the people they have the power to confirm who are
right.
The ones that are subject to this law.
So Proposition B isn't going to allow you to call in and complain about, I don't know, the meter maid who give you the ticket. They're going to say, pay your ticket.
Like they're ugly. I'm tired of looking at them. Get them out of here.
Which, you know what, is valid, damn it. Sometimes you just got it. Yeah. But also in the city, we've got the next mayor being chosen. So I say the next mayor because I think Kara Spencer is going to whoop Tashara Jones in this election. And you say, well, what if you are a Republican? What if you are a conservative? What do you do in that race? I don't know. I mean, you've got two far extreme leftists. The only difference is I think Kara Spencer is actually going to put more of a priority on those basic services. but ideologically, they're about the same. You're not going to move the city in a more conservative direction either way.
Yeah, I would much rather be hit with a belt than hit with a hammer. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like Kara's going to be the belt in this situation.
Right,
so
yeah.
It's not the most ideal situation. However, any step we can get back towards what we need to establish a nice, beautiful red St. Louis again, and get Tashard Jones the heck out of office, I think is a win for all of us.
Yeah. So tomorrow in our election results coverage, we're actually going to have Kirk from the St. Louis City Republicans in with us to go over the results. And that's the key question, Jerome. Just what you said is what's next. My guess is that this isn't even going to be a particularly close election in the city. But who knows? You never know. I mean, stranger things have happened. Everybody needs to get out and vote. If you want to get rid of Tashard Jones from the mayor's office, you got to show up to vote, because that's one of the reasons St. Louis has fallen apart, is because people are apathetic and they gave up and they threw up their hands and they walked away. But if I lived in the city, I live in the county, but if I lived in the city, it'd be really hard to vote for either one of them. And I get along personally with Kara Spencer just fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah, we had a nice conversation with her. Yeah.
I mean, you know, she's not as bad as Tashard Jones. Let's put it that way.
Right.
I think that's fair to say.
Stop right now before you blow us all away.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's election day. We've got David Stokes of Show Me to discuss what's on the ballot. Maybe he's got some ideas for Mayor Tashard Jones' going away party.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Metro Shooting Supplies is a gun enthusiast ultimate destination. With over 400 rental guns, you can try before you buy. Serving Metro St. Louis for over 20 years, we offer the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms. Buy a new gun and get a free $200 range membership located at Fifi and St. Charles Rock Road. Metro Shooting Supplies, where shooting meets expertise. Visit buylearnshoot.com.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
All right, what is on the ballot in? Let's see here. We did Washington County last time, I think, right?
Mhm.
How about Franklin County?
All right.
Let's see here. A lot of mayors being picked, including in New Haven and Sullivan. Let's see here. Several questions regarding funding for schools and an ambulance district question there as well. So a lot of ballot measures in Franklin County as well. Read them all very, very, very carefully. If you see something like this says levy increase or additional, that means tax increase. And that means a property tax increase. And then sales tax increases are fairly self-explanatory in those areas where they are on the ballot. I mentioned it earlier, Maryland Heights, just because we are in Maryland Heights. Proposition T is on the ballot. Unique way of campaigning that they're doing for this, and they're saying keep the trash free. So apparently there's no like direct charge for trash pickup or something like that.
Okay.
And so, but the funny part is, it's like raise taxes so you can have this for free. So their definition of free is very different than my definition of free.
Okay, so there's like, hey, if you pay for some reason, I think there's this weird perception that if you pay for something through taxation, it is free.
Right.
That's not a thing.
It's like the free zoo.
Yeah, exactly. It's the free zoo. We were just talking about that because what was it yesterday? It was or no
Today.
Today
USA Today named the St. Louis Zoo the 10th best zoo in the country.
Right, exactly, and also like there's one of these days this week is Zoo Day. I think it might be today actually.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah. So no, if you're paying for it through taxation, it still
free.
costs you money. It's not free.
Because Proposition T, I looked into it. It is an online sales tax increase, and so it's literally asking you to raise taxes on yourself. But this is a fairly blue part of the county, so my guess is they're going to improve it. We'll see.
They're going to buy
raise
it.
taxes on themselves. Well,
Yeah.
All right,
Government
7:22
schools,
right
man.
now. I had something. I have not seen in a while. Got a knock at the door last night.
Okay.
Door-to-door salesperson.
A door-to-door salesperson.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I didn't know that was still a thing.
I didn't know that was still a thing too.
Yeah.
That's weird. I thought that went out in like the late 90s,
Yeah,
maybe early 2000s.
I was a door-to-door sales guy. Yeah.
Really?
What did you-
okay, so
what
they
did
were
you
still
sell?
doing it.
Lawn care services.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, security guys keep popping up in
Oh,
my,
yeah,
it's like, hey, we see, your neighbors across. We did their camera system. Would you like some cameras? I'm just like,
Yeah, I think
It's
the vacuum salesman's probably gone by now.
Yeah,
You know, same with the knives.
like I used to sell vacuums and knives. Like I remember that.
I interviewed for a job with a knife sales. thing.
Yep.
And I got to like the final part of this. I was in college.
Yes, that's when I was doing.
Yeah,
mine.
and it was like something. I think it was like vector marketing or
Vector,
something like that.
yes.
Is that what it
That's-
was?
that's-
Yeah,
that's it.
So, and the funny part was, I kind of looked then like I look now with all my long hair and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And I got to thinking, I'm like, okay, so you want me looking like the heavy metal long hair guy knocking on doors saying, "Hi, I'm a complete stranger. Can I come in your house with knives?"
You want to buy my knives?
And I'm like, I don't think that's a recipe for success. And I think the last time we dealt with door-to-door salespeople, it was somebody trying to sell a roof.
Yeah.
And we ended up not buying from them. We bought from somebody else. This was 2 or 3 years ago. But last night, or yesterday late afternoon, and it's a real young guy, and he's trying to sell internet service.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he goes into his spiel right away, and you know that there's a pattern for the people who've been through the actual training.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Because what's your first instinct? No, thanks,
it's-
I'm good.
it's like, no.
And they don't even acknowledge that you said it. They just keep going.
They don't miss a beat.
They call that an objection, and you always ignore the first one.
Yes.
I've been through this training too. And then, I'll say, I just signed up. I'm fine. And then he'll say, well, I know that, this current company has from here to here. Where are you on that? The whole point is that they want to be in control of the conversation.
They got to keep you engaged.
Right. And
Yep.
see, I'm the communications guy.
You're
And
reading the
so
room.
I'm seeing what's happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying. And then he just keeps going.
Right.
Because we have this instinct to not argue and fight.
Yeah, we want to be polite.
Right. And so
We know you're just doing a job.
correct. And he seems like a nice guy.
Right.
And,
He's not being rude
he's
per se.
young and that sort of thing. And so the idea is control the conversation.
Yes.
And that's what this guy's doing. And finally, I just put my hand up and I went, you've listened to your sales training really well. I said, that's the third objection.
Right.
I said, that's when they should have told you it's not happening. I said, you're going to have better luck with somebody else than with me.
Right.
I've been through the sales training too. And I complimented him on sticking to his training. I'm like, I see the training. And then at that point, he's like, well, crap.
Right. It's like, yeah. They know the jig is up.
Right.
You know, what's funny is I had in my brain, vacuums and knives were pretty much the only things that were sold door to door. And it didn't even occur to me that I've been encountering the sales guys continuously for my house, particularly for security systems in my area. And it's like, it just went out of my brain. I'm trying to think of why, but it may just because I dismissed them so quickly that they're now out of mind.
I would never want to do door-to-door sales now.
Oh, it's horrible.
I mean, I remember when I was a kid, and I know this isn't sales, but my dad's churches would always do the door-to-door knocking and inviting people to church and all that kind of stuff.
Handing out tracts and whatnot.
Yeah, handing out tracts and stuff like that. You can't do that anymore.
No.
It's too dangerous. When I've run for office, I've gone door knocking on there.
That makes sense to me.
I've done that.
I've encountered one candidate who actually did it themselves.
Yeah. Which speaks kind of well of them.
It does. It does.
I so wanted Lisa Clancy to knock on my door. I really wanted that, but she never has, but yeah, that's where, and then I think the other ones, have you ever gotten those ones where they're like, we're selling magazines to raise money, magazine subscriptions to raise money for this youth fund, so that you got those.
I might have encountered it like 5 or 10 years.
Those have always struck me as sketchy at best.
Oh gosh. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
I'm not going to make an overt accusation because I don't want to get sued. But to me personally, those have always struck me as sketchy. I can get away with saying that.
Yes. Well, it reminds me of mattress stores. I think they're money laundering schemes. you know what I mean? It's like nobody's making enough money to actually fund the amount of time, effort, and personnel that they're putting into this.
So you think there's something funny going on Manchester Boulevard down there in a couple of those areas?
There's like 7 mattress stores. Like, what is happening right now?
My mattress that I've had for like 10 years, which probably is way too long, but I'm not buying that many mattresses.
Yeah, seriously. And there's never anybody in the store except for the 2 or 3 people who work there.
I tell you, the worst example I've seen of that. Okay, so years ago when I was still working at the Show Me Institute, and I was out in Los Angeles for a conference out there, and I was right there. The hotel I was at was on Los Angeles Boulevard. Now, LA Boulevard is an interesting place because there's some parts of it that are just really fancy. This was a really nice hotel in the whole 9 yards, but you go 1 block any direction and you could literally, we were walking distance from Skid Row. Wow. And there is a place on the map called Skid Row. Right. There's a district called Skid Row. You can look at it.
Wow.
It's not just a great 80s rock band. It actually is a place you can see on an LA map called, and it smells like marijuana and urine, in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but there was this store that was a sunglasses shop. Now, remember, this is Los Angeles. This is downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah. So the real estate.
Yeah.
First of all.
And they were selling sunglasses for between $3 and $10. And I bought a pair of sunglasses from them.
Sure.
Because I walked in and they looked at me funny. They're like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to get those sunglasses. And they were like, they were confused. I'm like, I just want to buy it. So I'm making a legitimate purchase.
You walk into the sunglass store
and they were surprised,
expecting to buy sunglasses, and they're confused.
And it was funny because Zach Lawhorn, who now has my old job at the Show Me Institute, he was on my staff at the time. Now he took my job when I left. And I walked out. I'm like, Zach, I said, I don't think this is a legit sunglasses shop.
They were like, those are for decoration. There's like the ones that are
I'm like
on the spinny thing there. It's like that's just for show, man. You actually want to buy one of these?
I know. They're like, okay. I don't know what's going on behind that wall, but I don't think it's sunglasses.
Yes. I think you came in with the wrong code phrase.
I did.
They'd never heard that one before. It's like, hey man, I'd like to buy some sunglasses. Like, And they're looking at each other. Have you ever heard somebody
what's
say
that mean?
one?
What's that
It's like,
mean?
is that one for this
Yeah.
or that for this? The other thing. You know,
And I'm like, no, I want those.
No, those.
Here's Larry. I spent like $10, which first of all, buying anything for $10 in LA should be a sign.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
You're not legit.
you can't get a bottle of water, and I'm talking about the
No.
little chubs for $10, right? No.
But hey, you know what? Crime pays. I got sunglasses well below what they probably should have cost.
Yeah, they probably spent more on that to put them in the display case.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, man, now we have to pay $40 to get those replaced.
Exactly. Oh God. All right. Donald Trump gets a big win in court. Now, it's not the final step, though. This isn't the permanent win, but it could be on the path to his win in his effort to deport illegal aliens. We're going to talk to Mike O'Neill, the Landmark Legal Foundation, get the facts of the case, separate fact from internet meme in the case so you know what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming your way right after one. Mr. Larry Connors has a commentary. Did he text us? Let us know what he's doing.
Yeah, so for Larry Connor's commentary today, Jasmine Crockett believes life isn't fair without DEI.
Of course.
Yeah.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're again looking at a morning freeze, but those temperatures quickly will rise once the sun is up. And temperatures today under sunny skies reaching 56 degrees. We no longer have to worry about a freeze, at least for the extended forecast. By tonight, our temperatures only fall into the 40s. Watching Wednesday and Thursday for a chance of showers and some rumbles of thunder possible as well. Dry for the weekend. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Got a great fun idea for you. The Oak Street Inn and Lounge Speakeasy now open, but you need a passcode to get in. Easy to get. Just visit the Oak Street Inn and Lounge Facebook. I got my code. Get yours. We'll gather at the Speakeasy. Oak Street Inn and Lounge in Cottleville. Plus, enjoy some fine dining. Visit the Oak Street Inn and Lounge Facebook for your Speakeasy passcode. Oak Street Inn and Lounge Facebook. Get your code now.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit vincentsjewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Was there a time as a kid that you went to an amusement park, maybe Six Flags, and you stood in line, maybe an hour longer, just to get in line to be next to ride, but they wouldn't let you on? They kept you off. Why? There was a sign that said, to ride this ride, you must be this tall. You literally did not measure up. Now take that life example and apply it to today's political DEI, divisiveness. Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett said it best. She said, when I was first hired as a prosecutor, I didn't know anything about the job, but I told my boss, you need to hire me. He asked, but you have no experience. Why should I hire you? Jasmine proudly says what she told him, because I am black. Contrast that to Texas Congressman Wesley Hunt, elected to Congress. Hunt is also black, but he points out, I won by 20 points in a white district. You see the difference between Hunt and Crockett? The attitude, the self-righteous attitude, I deserve it. Life sometimes is not fair. And no, you cannot get on that ride unless you are this tall.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Experience history as it comes alive at the Champ Clark Memorial VFW Post 5553 History Day, April 12th in Bowling Green. Presenters and reenactors will transport you through America's war eras. For more info, call 573-470-9066.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer. The news and talk
immediately a big, beautiful tax cut bill
that matters to St. Louis.
Get this passed, and you'll see the markets behaving better. You'll see the economy behaving better.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, what is on the ballot? Let's look at Lincoln County real quick. Let's see here. There's a countywide sales tax question, which has to do with the sheriff's office, and that is capital improvement and operations for the sheriff's office. That's on the ballot in Lincoln County. I do not know what the proposition is called. And then there's something called Proposition Kids.
Okay.
Anytime I say that. All right. Proposition Kids wants to borrow $80 million for the school district to be able to improve different facilities. So basically you got a bond issue. Right
yeah.
But,
once there's a prop and it says something like kids or family or schools or something like that, I was like, okay, so they want money.
Yeah. They want money. They want to borrow this. So that's basically a bond issue right there. All right. The Supreme Court hands President Trump a win. But how far does that decision reach? What actually changes? Because this is one of those, I fear, where people are going to look at the headlines and conclude that they know the entire story. And that's not even close to being accurate. Matter of fact, this conversation we're about to have here, this is going to go up on the podcast in a couple of hours. This is one of those that you want to make sure you're subscribed to Mike Ferguson in the Morning, in particular on the News Talk STL podcast, because this is going to be the one you're going to want to click and send to people so that when you have those discussions or debates, not that that would ever happen on social media, but just in case it does, you can send this and say, here are the facts of what's actually happening. And we're joined now by Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation. And so I tried to set this up as carefully as I could, Mike. I mean, obviously, the Trump administration wanted the Supreme Court to lift that ban on the deportations or that injunction. And the Trump administration got that, but they're not getting free reign to just say you out. There still is a process and there still are some restrictions and lanes they have to follow. So what actually changes immediately with the ruling?
Right. Well, what changes, good morning, gentlemen. Well, what changes immediately is the fact that it's no longer in the DC District Court. It's no longer in front of the judge who has issued this temporary restraining order. And the court has now said that the jurisdiction and venue lies in the district of confinement. And so these individuals who are subject to the Tren de Aragua individuals, these narco terrorists who have been apprehended and are being detained and are going to be removed from the country, they are confined currently. Some of them are confined in Texas. And so Washington, D.C., the D.C. Circuit Court or the D.C. District Court does not have jurisdiction nor venue to hear these cases. The cases will be, if you want to bring a case, if you want to challenge the confinement or if you want to challenge this action, you need to bring a habeas petition in the jurisdiction of confinement. And that means it has to occur down in Texas.
Morning, Mike. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So, is this ruling going to stop or at least maybe slow down some of the venue shopping and the lawfare that we've been seeing coming out of these regional courts?
Possibly. I wish I could give you a better answer to that. I could say possibly. The issue, of course, the opinion is narrow. It's a per curiam opinion, and it's a 5-4 decision, so it's narrowly applicable to this particular issue. And the court says, the 5 justices who wrote it's an unsigned opinion. There's been some speculation that it might have been Thomas, just by some of the wording and some of the comma placement. If you really want to get nerdy here, that Justice Thomas might have written this.
Does he like the Oxford?
There's exactly. But there's some real in-depth kind of analysis that goes on with this stuff. So there's some speculation that it might have been Justice Thomas. But what we're talking about here is it's narrowly applicable to this particular case. And in the court is clear that says these individuals who have been these members of Tren de Aragua, a narco-terrorist organization, have some sort of due process rights. And what they have to do is they have to use their process. They have to assert a habeas corpus petition. In other words, you have to petition where you are confined. You have to submit a habeas corpus petition in the district where you are confined, asking the court to review your case. So there is some due process. And what Mike was referring to is correct. There is some due process afforded to these individuals. However, this is all under the auspices of the Alien Enemies Act. It's not under the Administrative Procedure Act. Now, this is going to get a little into the weeds legally for you, but it's important to make this distinction. The Administrative Procedure Act is not applicable here. This means that under the Alien Enemies Act, you have these individuals have a habeas corpus petition right for due process, so they can bring their case up in front of a judge on an individualized basis. This isn't a class basis. Now, remember what happened in Washington, D.C. is the judge issued a temporary restraining order halting the entire removal process, halting the entire process. Remember, he said essentially he was ordering the planes to turn around. And of course, he was well over his skis and operating well outside of any kind of constitutional or judicial authority he has. A judge doesn't have the authority to interfere with a national security operation to that extent. If individuals want to bring habeas petitions, then they can do that in the jurisdiction and the venue where they are confined on an individualized basis. They can't do this. The judge doesn't have this all encompassing power to issue a restraining order, a temporary restraining order, or an injunction halting the entire process. It has to go through a habeas petition.
We're visiting with Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation. Okay, so is this just related to the illegals from Venezuela, or does this apply to anybody who could get caught up in the deportation process? And then I've got a follow-up question from that.
Right. This is only the individuals of Tren de Aragua. These are the narco terrorists. This is brought under the Alien Enemies Act. And this is a very limited operation. We're just talking hundreds of individuals, as opposed to the regular deportations under the Immigration Naturalization Act, where there are processes in place for challenging that. But those are just normal, regular deportation proceedings. This is an extraordinary assertion of presidential power because this is a national security operation involving narco terrorists who are affiliated with the Venezuelan Maduro government. And so these individuals are the worst of the worst that pose a clear and present danger. That's why the president took this extraordinary step to invoke the Alien Enemies Act to engage into this removal procedures. I don't really even call this deportation. We talk about deportation here. I reserve the term deportation for those individuals who are here illegally, not engaging in narco-terrorist activities, aren't here at the behest of a foreign national government who's an adversary of the United States. These are individuals, again, narco-terrorists who've been deployed by the Maduro regime who are being removed subject to the Alien Enemies Act, not your regular run-of-the-mill INA case, deportation cases.
Okay, so here's my follow-up question is the hearings that the court says that they have to go through. I mean, I think most of us here would probably say, just grab them by the scruff of the neck and just toss them out.
Right.
But what is it that's going to clear the bar? Is it a matter of, yes, this is the person we say it is, yes, they are in this country illegally, or is there more that's going to have to be required for the judge to say, yes, you can get rid of them?
Right. Well, those will be litigated under the Alien Enemies Act. Again, this is a law that's been on the books since the 1700s, and there's only been a few instances where it's been invoked. So the case law on how it's operational and the measure of review that a court can afford to it is really limited. We don't really know how it's going to play out. I can tell you this, though. I do think judges don't have the Article 3 authority to make national security issues. And in other words, if the president makes the determination that these individuals pose a national security threat, there is a high burden on the individual to say, I do not constitute a national security threat. When we're talking about burdens of proof, we're talking about manipulations here. When the president is acting as commander-in-chief, protecting the American people, he's operating under the highest of his constitutional authority, the highest aspects of his constitutional authority. Individuals who want to challenge those actions when he's acting that in such a manner in a habeas petition, I believe the burden is a very high burden they need to make. In other words, an individual has to prove by some level that he is not a member. If you want to say clear and convincing, if you want to say preponderance of the evidence, I don't think it's beyond a reasonable doubt. But you have to prove that you're not a member of Tren de Aragua if the government is making the allegation that you are. So we're going to see how this is going to play out in habeas proceedings. And again, these are something that'll be on an individualized basis. I don't think it's going to be subject to a class. Whereas, in the D.C. District Court, the judge simply certified this as a class and was able to and bang this gavel and said, look, I'm going to halt this proceeding. The president's operating outside of the scope of his authority. He doesn't have due process. These individuals have due process rights. All that is out the window. Now these are habeas petitions in Texas. And again, I'm not gonna characterize judges for you, but you can contrast a judge in Texas versus a possible judge in Washington, D.C. Versus a Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. So you're going to see how this might play out in actuality, as you're talking about, Mike. But it remains to be seen how these habeas petitions actually manifest in the courts, in the district courts down in Texas, as opposed to what's going on in Washington, D.C.
So what's the next round of fights look like? What's going to kind of establish the full extent of the administration powers and the power of the presidency in general in these kind of regard?
Yeah, I think. I mean, we could talk about this particular case. Again, I think what I was just referring to in this case. You're going to have these individuals, these TDA, Tren de Aragua, they have the best lawyers in the country, amazingly. Go figure. And I think they are going to bring habeas petitions, and we'll see how those are litigated. But I think the larger issue, and that's what we might be getting at, Gabe, is whether this has kind of any effect on the rest of these injunctions that you're seeing, these nationwide injunctions. I think the court did take some positive steps. The Supreme Court took some positive steps to rein in this judge who was operating outside the bounds of his authority. It's good to see the Supreme Court keeping its own house, taking steps to get its own house in order. We don't want to see it, and I've talked to you guys about this before. We don't want to see these judges operating well outside the bounds of their authority. And I don't think the framers or founders ever envisioned a single district court judge can institute a nationwide injunction, let alone interfere with a national security operation like this judge was doing. So it is a positive development to see. Again, we only saw 5 of the justices. I mean, that is disappointing. 5 of the justices clearly understood that this judge was operating well outside his constitutional authority, vacated this temporary restraining order, kicked the case back down to Texas, where it's probably going to get some habeas proceedings. But hopefully appellate courts and then other district courts are going to begin to get the message here and begin to kind of throttle back on this exuberance in issuing these nationwide injunctions.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, and we're just about out of time here visiting with Michael Neal, Landmark Legal Foundation, is that this is likely going to roll back up to the Supreme Court to decide on a constitutionality issue then probably.
Maybe again, we'll see the energy on that about how the alien, but that's a merits case issue on what the contours of the Alien Enemies Act really absolutely are. But again, I would assert to you that this is a national security operation, and the president is operating well within his constitutional authority to do what he's doing.
All right, Michael Neal, Landmark Legal Foundation. As always, we remind people landmarklegal.org or com? .org. All right, Mike, we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much for the update.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. And of course, you can take that conversation once that goes up on our podcast and send that out to friends and family here, because it's more complicated. It's interesting because Mike said, for some reason, these literal gang members who are, in this narco terrorist, as he put it, have some of the best lawyers in the country.
Amazing.
The ACLU is among them, involved in these, wanting them to be treated, as though the burden of proof is on the government on this.
So crazy.
Seems to me as like you identify them. They're here illegally. First of all, that should be the end of the story.
Yeah.
But this is who we think it is. Yes, no. Yes. Okay. Are they in the country illegally? Yes, no. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the end of the story. That's the best way to approach it.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be fascinating to see how much, if there's only a few hundred people, as Mike was saying, with this particular case, why is the left fighting so hard to keep these people in the country?
It's a really good question.
Yeah.
Hey, St. Louis, summer's on its way, and if your AC isn't ready, you could be in for a long, sweaty ride. This is Chris Arps, and before you crank up that air conditioner, you need to call my friends over at Elite Comfort Experts. Right now, they're offering an AC performance evaluation for just $79. Yeah, $79 gets you a full system check from your hometown comfort experts. No gimmicks, just guarantees. Call Elite Comfort Experts at 636-887-0971. Tell them Chris Arps sent you, or visit EliteComfortExperts.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mill's finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the Sabos radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio 3 times every week yet on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's the Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, what's on the ballot? Let's see here. Chesterfield. Chesterfield's electing a new mayor today.
Okay.
Ooh. Yep. So if you are in Chesterfield, you got from right now, you got just under 12 hours to figure out who you want to vote for mayor. So that's happening today. So
hopefully
we'll
there's some
updated
information online for you if you haven't been paying attention to it.
I mean, I know, and this is not like any sort of endorsement because I don't live in Chesterfield, so I haven't been into the details of it. But like I know former state representative Derek Grier is running for mayor as well out there. Among those, Bob Nations is not running for re-election, so that's why it's an open seat election. So that's just one of those that's happening right now. All right, guys. I did not tell you that I was going to do this.
Oh boy!
So
oh no!
Grab your phones.
Here we go.
Grab your phones.
All right.
By the way, real quick here. This is one of the things that's one of those. This is why we can't have nice things.
Oh.
Okay. So I don't know what the top movies are right now, but my understanding is the Minecraft movie is doing pretty well at the box office.
That's what I hear. The kids like Minecraft, so they're going to go to the movie.
I don't know. I mean, I
haven't been paying attention to the movies for quite a while.
I haven't either. But so this is really, really weird. Minecraft, of course, this is aimed at, high school, probably more middle school.
Younger.
I mean, I remember Rachel's boys were really, really into Minecraft years ago when they were like in middle school.
Yeah.
I mean, they're adults now, but at the time, and they were all about Minecraft. And I know it was a video game, but that's about all I know about it.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so they made a movie.
Okay.
Combination animated and live action, and Jack Black's in it, and Jason Momoa is in it. And so at one point in the movie, and I do not know how this trend started, when Jack Black yells, "Chicken jockey," that word in the movie,
that phrase,
chicken jockey, they all start jumping up and throwing their food and drinks all over the movie theater.
Why?
I don't know. I cannot find the source for why this happens.
I bet, and I can almost guarantee you that it's some sort of social media trend.
It's got to be.
It's got like some TikTok account, some Minecraft message board or something like that, where this was filtered through and people just glommed onto it for some reason.
And so there are movie theaters. Some movie theaters have actually called the police because it went that crazy and created that much of a mess. And other movie theaters are now putting up warning messages before the movie. Do not do this. We will call the police if you do this stupid thing.
Right.
So I don't know
why we can't have nice things.
Because I saw like 3 videos of people recording this, social media videos. I'm not going to say that there's a stereotype trend to this, but I'm just saying is that all of these junior high kids look like they're in Creve Coeur or Chesterfield. Can I just point that out?
Bunch of Naperville kids.
There's a kid named Dakota in that audience.
Yes.
Kaylee's filled the GH.
Yeah, exactly.
Those
children are there.
And so I'm looking at this.
Okay.
I'm like, this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
It's crazy. Now my worry is that this is the test for the PSYOP capabilities of the
K-Ultra
internet.
never ended.
It's like they have K-Ultra never ended. They're testing out their code words for people to go crazy. And sometime in like 2037, we're going to be dealing with some idiot. They were kids now, but now they're adults, and somebody's going to yell, chicken salsa or whatever over a loudspeaker, and all of a sudden they're going to be lobbing grenades at us.
All right, guys, got your phones out?
Okay, all right. Let me get my phone.
All right, real quick.
All right.
Okay, so real quick, Gabe.
Yes.
Number of unread messages in your email on your phone.
Oh, jeez.
Come on. No, think about it.
First of all, let's say
not your throwaway email, not the old one, the one you use.
5,000.
Okay. What about you, Jerome?
Only a couple hundred. Nobody really contacts me.
99 for me.
Okay.
On there. Unread text messages right now.
1 maybe.
Okay, that's actually pretty good.
I read it, but it still says 1.
1. Got it. Okay. So here's the thing is on average, because somebody said, you know what, maybe it's not just time for spring cleaning, it's time for spring digital cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
The average person has 1,044 unread emails and 12 unopened text messages.
I don't understand the text message one.
Yeah.
That's the one I really don't get.
I think I can explain it.
Okay, please.
Because if you click on it and read it, then the other person knows that you read it.
Yeah, you get the read receipts. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, let me wait, and then I'll read it later because I don't want like, hey, why aren't you emailing or messaging me back?
Just peeping the push notification for like the first half of the sentence.
Exactly. So here's the new survey on digital clutter. The average American has, like I said, 1,044 unread emails. And I'm talking about not the throwaway account, because I've got a backup throwaway account that has like 10,000.
Yeah.
But that's emails that go to others, but my actual account 99. 12 unread text messages, 17 unread social media notifications.
Oh yeah, yep.
11 unread app messages. I've got 0 right now actually. 15 open browser tabs. I don't have that on my phone, but on my laptop, I've got more than that on my laptop.
Well, if you average it out, then that's probably true.
9 unused smartphone apps.
Oh gosh, nine's a lightweight.
Yeah,
but you guys are amateurs.
I've got a lot more unused. I've got a bunch on here that I have used and then I haven't used. Like I've got Priceline on here for when I take trips, but I haven't used that in forever.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last time I used Uber, but I have an Uber account,
I've got,
right?
Lyft for me.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of others. And then 2 pending software updates.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. So spring digital cleaning,
digital cleaning.
Declutter,
Okay. All
digital clutter there. There you go.
That's a good idea.
If you got a bunch of those big numbers, it's okay. You're normal. You're cluttered, but you're normal.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is sending out an SOS. We're expanding fast and need your help. We need a flooring warehouse expert pronto. We need a flooring scheduler just as fast. Join our growing team at Michael's Flooring Outlet with locations in St. Peter's, Darden Prairie, and Creve Coeur. Don't wait. Visit michaelsflooringoutlet.com and click on careers today. Michael's Flooring Outlet, where great floors begin with great people.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere. And we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery at all 3 Steph's Pizza locations. In Lake St. Louis at 111 Potterford Trail, St. Peter's on Juggerman, and in St. Charles on Zumbel. Check us out at Steph'sPizza.com. Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I think you and 9 other Democrats can't.
I'm the best leader for the Senate. We're moving forward.
I think we found now 14 magic money computers, which can just make money out of thin air.
The gunshot that was fired into one of the Tesla vehicles.
Trump spent 2 hours on the phone with Vlad.
The president will then determine what the next steps are.
What the Republicans are doing is not a CR. It's a license to destroy.
The Democrats put us into this situation. I think cooler heads will prevail.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The Wall Street roller coaster ride continues. At the moment, we're headed up that really big incline. Futures sharply higher following recent massive sell-offs, fueled by fears of a global trade war, as President Trump imposes tariffs on other countries that approach those charged on American goods. Japan among countries seeking negotiations with the U.S., while China continues to resist, exclaiming it will fight to the end. The Supreme Court rules the executive branch has the power to enforce immigration law using the Enemy Aliens Act to deport illegal aliens, suspected gangbangers.
President Trump invoked the 18th century wartime law to justify the deportations under a presidential proclamation calling the Tren de Aragua gang an invading force. In dissent, the court's 3 liberal justices said the administration has sought to avoid judicial review in this case, and the 5-4 ruling now rewards the government for its behavior.
Correspondent Ben Thomas. Floodwaters have driven countless people from their homes across parts of the South and the Midwest, including in Dyersburg, Tennessee, where Michael Glass lives.
It's been a real stressful time. I woke up this morning, the waters came up dramatically, so had to make a choice whether to stay or get out here, and they cut the water off, so kind of leave me in no choice but to seek other shelter.
Severe storms, including tornadoes, blamed for at least 23 deaths since last week. A Russian spacecraft has delivered NASA astronaut Johnny Kim and 2 Russian crewmates to the International Space Station for an 8-month stay. At least 15 people are dead, more than 100 others injured. This morning's collapse of a roof happened at a dance club in the Dominican Republic. Now, Wall Street stock futures sharply higher. The Dow futures up more than 1,000 points. NASDAQ futures better by 403 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something? Boat wins! Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing? Boat wins! Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing? Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat.
Yeah! With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're again looking at a morning freeze, but those temperatures quickly will rise once the sun is up. And temperatures today under sunny skies reaching 56 degrees. We no longer have to worry about a freeze, at least for the extended forecast. By tonight, our temperatures only fall into the 40s. Watching Wednesday and Thursday for a chance of showers and some rumbles of thunder possible as well. Dry for the weekend. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Tony Colombo here for the Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store in Old Town St. Peters, where they have a huge selection of products and services for your yard and home, including a full line of lawn and garden products, a full line of products for animal care, and that includes anything from livestock to the family dog or cat. They'll fill any size propane tank for about half the price of a new one, and so much more. Visit them in St. Peters on 2nd Street, right behind the QT at 70 and Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, and check out all their products and services at oldtowncountrystore.com.
Is your pup in need of a spa day?
At Pretty Little Paws, we believe grooming should be a stress-free, tail-wagging experience. Our one-on-one, fear-free grooming ensures your furry friend gets the gentle, personalized care they deserve. No noisy kennels or long waits, just love, patience, and expert grooming in a calm, relaxing environment. Because a happy pup means a happy you. Pretty Little Paws, with 2 locations in O'Fallon and St. Peters. Visit us online at prettylittlepawsgrooming.com.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, but we had a lot of people doing checkups on their own phones and their laptops.
Are you guys okay? Are you okay?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. No, don't forget. There's just a quick traffic note here. 141 in the county is closed at 44. That is because of floodwaters.
It's underwater.
Yeah,
that's why it's closed.
Completely underwater. You are not going to get through there at all. I mean, they got all the barricades up, but it is impassable. And so if you're heading to work and you think you're going to go through that intersection now, 44 over 141, it looks like you can get past that. You can go over the bridge,
sure,
but it's 141 underneath it that you cannot get through. So 44 is fine, 141 not so much. You're not exiting at 141 there. All right, it is election day, people, so we can make some changes today. Hopefully we're doing that literally as we speak right now. The Supreme Court sides with the president and his efforts to deport illegals, some specific illegals, and the Blues and the Cardinals both have a tough night. We've already had our coffee. Let's go ahead and do a morning news dump.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
And here we go. Missouri voters. Polls opened a couple of hours ago. It is election day. You can vote until 7 p.m., which means you got just a little bit under 11 hours left. The biggest decisions being made in the metro area are, of course, the race for mayor in the city and the fate of Proposition B in St. Louis County. And Proposition B would give the county council more oversight of appointed department heads. So the county executive appoints them, the county council confirms them, but then the county council can fire them if there's an extreme situation and if there is a supermajority involved in those cases. So that's what Proposition B would do if it's passed. Unfortunately, we have seen through Sam Page's continuing behavior that this, in my opinion, is a very necessary check and balance that we need to include into the county charter. So I'm voting yes.
Yeah. He's pretty much, I think, among the worst, if not the worst county executive we've had. And certainly as long as I've been here.
And we sent a guy to prison.
Right.
Yeah.
So certainly it makes sense to try and ensure that the county is safe from other Sam Pages in the future.
Right. And this is a check and a balance.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Because I know the Sam Page is freaking out, thinking it's just about his power. It's not. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's not just about his. It is about a balance and putting that check and balance in place. And speaking of Sam Page, Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins decides to investigate the accusations against Sam Page related to Prop B.
Okay.
So remember, a complaint was filed. We told you about this a few days ago. A complaint was filed by watchdog activist Tom Sullivan, and that had to do with Page's use of about $5,000 of taxpayers' money to campaign against Prop B. He literally took money from the county government and used it to create and send out anti-Prop B campaign postcards.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
You cannot do that. Missouri law explicitly prohibits the use of public funds and resources to support or oppose any ballot measure or candidate. There is no possible way that they did not know this. This is obviously an intentional breaking of the law, knowingly, intentionally breaking of the law. And there'll be somebody who says, well, it was only $5,000 and it was only in like targeted areas. I didn't get one of these postcards.
Yeah.
I
didn't either.
One of our listeners scanned them and sent them to me. So I have them. I've read it. It is absolutely a violation of law. And you don't have to be a lawyer to say that. It says right on the bottom, paid for by the county government, Sam Page executive.
Now, my hope is the ethics committee, levies the maximum fine that they can. And they get the little slap on the wrist that the law allows. And then maybe in the next session, the Missouri legislature goes back and realizes that maybe we ought to put a little more teeth in this kind of thing.
You know, that's really a good point, because this is basically considered, essentially, roll your eyes, wag your finger, miscreant behavior.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah, you guys. You're not supposed to do that. But it's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge in the political establishment.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to go on a rant here for just a second.
Yes, please.
Let's talk about this for a second, because every school board does this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Almost every city hall does this. Almost every Parks and Rec district does this. Almost every community college does this. Almost every library board district does it. Almost everybody, now not as explicitly as Sam Page,
right?
But they all do this, and it's the finger wag. If somebody calls them out on it, it's the "oh, you guys" thing, and you put that perfectly, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to do that. So here's a little $250 fine. But in the meantime, you got your $10 million bond issue by using using taxpayer dollars to campaign for more taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, really. I mean, they all of these organizations, they say, well, here's the list of all of the wonderful sunshine, rainbows, and pots of gold that you're going to get by voting yes on this initiative that we put out there.
If it passes.
If it passes, right?
Not vote yes, but if it passes.
If this passes, you will have, a chocolate fountain at every
That's right.
At every street corner. It's like the promises you made when you were running for a student body president in middle school. But they do that, and it's clearly an endorsement of the item.
Absolutely.
But they do it every time. They use taxpayer dollars to do it, and we just kind of like, oh, there they go again.
They've done it for years and years and years. So, do I think the state legislature will say it's time to make this a criminal act? They won't do it because they all expect the support of the school boards. They all expect the support of everybody in all of these offices. They want the support of the city council folks. They're worried about the Missouri Municipal League. And so the establishment has a lot of lawmakers who will quietly, because I've had this conversation with many elected officials, they will quietly tell you, yeah, this is BS. This is illegal. Okay, do something about it. Well, it's not that simple.
Yeah, but everybody does it.
We just really can't.
Everybody does it. It's just kind of how it is.
You should face a criminal charge for doing this at this point, because it's become so common. And in cases like this with Sam Page, he's got nothing to worry about, nothing to lose. So what if he gets fined $250? So what if he gets fined $500? That doesn't mean anything to him.
I would be happy. Like, even if it wasn't a criminal charge against individuals in the government, I would be happy with if it basically invalidates the election.
Yes,
that would be great. It's like, hey, you use taxpayer dollars to campaign for a yes. It got a yes, so we're invalidating.
Yes, I love that too.
That would settle the argument. It's like, okay, nobody's going to jail, but hey, you can't do you would be scared.
Try again and have a fair one this time.
Exactly.
All right. Let's see here. National news. The Trump administration gets a legal victory in its use of that wartime law to deport illegal aliens. Here's the story.
A divided Supreme Court allowed the administration to use the Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan migrants, but said they must get a court hearing before they are taken from the United States. Justices said the Venezuelans must be given reasonable time to go to court. And the conservative majority ruled that legal challenges must take place in Texas instead of a Washington courtroom. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And we had a really informative conversation with Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal Foundation just a little bit ago. That's going to be up on our podcast here shortly. Check that out and send that to people who maybe don't get the realities, or they're getting misled, because there's a lot of people who see the headlines and think they know what's happening. And it's actually a very narrow ruling, but it's a step in the right direction. It really is.
Absolutely.
All right. Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, President Trump, of course, getting a lot of questions on tariffs and the ongoing trade situation with, dozens, like 50 countries around the world affected by his policy. He was also asked why he did not put tariffs on, of all countries, Russia, which has brought up some questions as well.
The reason we're not talking about tariffs with Russia is because we're not doing business essentially with Russia, because they're in a war.
So China is retaliating against the U.S. As expected, 34% tariff increase. And President Trump is now threatening to raise tariffs by another 50% on China, but no tariffs on Russia. But take that for whatever it's worth. There.
Well, if you're not doing business with anybody, you know,
it's a weird optic though.
45% of 0 is 0.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a strange optic.
I suppose so.
It seems like another unforced.
Yeah, they could have said 100%, 150. They could have said like 500% tariff on, on Russia. Yeah, and just
somebody would say, well, why are you tariffing them when we don't do business with them? And say, hey, I'm being fair to everybody. I'm doing the same thing to everybody. And so that would have been a lot easier. He would have given the media less.
That's true.
To run with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Done that.
Yep.
Let's see here. One of St. Louis's biggest attractions gets national recognition. USA Today declares the St. Louis Zoo to be the 10th best in the nation. Estimated 16,000 animals are at the zoo. Now that wasn't what was voted on. I'm coming through here.
Yeah,
right?
there's something weird going on.
It's
a weird echo of something
here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm coming through. All right. Omaha's Dorley Zoo and Aquarium was the #1 ranked attraction. The list was made through an online vote.
All right.
Couple sports things here. The win streak is over. But the Blues are still on top of the wild card race. I mean, come on, we knew that win streak.
It couldn't last forever.
12 games is amazing, man.
It's literally historic, right? It's like they made a new record.
Yes. That is a franchise record. They lost last night 3-1 to the Jets in Winnipeg. So here's the thing. Minnesota did not play last night. So the Blues, even though they lost last night, the Blues are still 2 points ahead of Minnesota. So we're going to break down the math here. Both teams play tomorrow. The Blues are on the road in Edmonton. The Wild host the Sharks. So if both teams win tomorrow, the Blues remain 2 points up. If the Blues lose and the Wild win, then they end up being tied. If both teams win, the Blues still stay, so if both teams lose, so that sort of thing. So the Blues have 3 games left. The Wild has 4 games left. So the Wild, if they win all 4, they're guaranteed at least a tie with the Blues. If the Wild loses at least 1 game and the Blues win out, the Blues finish in first place of the wild card race. So we see how that goes. Down to the wire. Really exciting. This is fun. I mean, this is fun. I really appreciate, hats off to the St. Louis Blues. They are in a position that I don't think anybody thought they were going to be in. That's just a lot of grit on this team. Just really impressive there. Also, the Cardinals dropped the first game of their series with the Pirates. Monday's final score was 8-4. That is 4 losses in a row for the Cardinals. Game 2 of that series is this afternoon at 5:40. Sonny Gray will get his 3rd start of the season. FanDuel is carrying that game. All right, big question here. We talked about the kids going crazy stupid in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
Why are they acting like that? And are we rearing kids that just are really, really soft, or are we all just getting to that age where we don't tolerate the younger generation?
Get off my lawn,
you whippersnappers.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Gabe Pfeiffer. Mike Ferguson. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
This is your cousin. Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game. It's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Game tickets? Check.
A round of cold beers? Check.
Ballpark hot dogs? Check.
Baseball is back, and nothing beats a night out with the guys.
Or ladies.
At a Cardinals game.
From thrilling games and mouthwatering eats, the iconic ballpark energy, Busch Stadium is the ultimate spot for you and your crew to dive into America's favorite pastime.
Make your next night out the best one yet. Join us at Busch Stadium, where every hour is happy.
For tickets, visit Cardinals.com.
St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Turning 65 soon? Medicare decisions don't have to be overwhelming. Hi, I'm Debbie Westhoff with Westhoff Agency. We have helped hundreds of people just like you navigate Medicare options. Let me, Debbie Westhoff, be your personal Medicare guide, walking you through each choice to find the coverage that truly fits. Don't leave your healthcare decisions to chance. Call me at 636-500-1843 or visit us at westoffagency.com. Westhoff Agency is your trusted Medicare partner. That's westoffagency.com.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, Chris Arp from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right. What is on the ballot let's see here, going around the area here. Let's look at Jefferson County.
Okay.
Jefferson County here.
Jeffco.
Crystal City School District is asked. This is really interesting. They're asking voters to pass a ballot measure that would establish a 4-day school week in the Crystal City School District for the next 10 years.
Yeah, see, that's very interesting. So obviously it's an experiment because they're saying it's going to be on for the next 10 years. So basically there's going to be a set of kids who are going to go through school, and for most of their school career, it's going to be a 4-day school week.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. And I am surprised because I did not know this was something you put up for a vote.
Yeah.
I figured the school board could make that decision. So I don't know the mechanics of how this ended up on the ballot.
Yeah.
But the people in the Crystal City School District are going to decide whether they stay with a 5-day school week or a 4-day school week.
It sounds like we're going to have a lot more unsupervised minors running around if they switch to a 4-day.
Well, they can go see Minecraft movie and throw stuff in the theater. Yeah. It's not even that they just throw the popcorn, it's throwing the soft drinks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If I walk out of a movie theater sticky, I'm going to have some words with you and your kid.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's happening. And let's see here. Propositions are on the ballot from both the Dunklin Fire District and the Cedar Hill Fire District as well. So that's happening in Jeffco. All right, 822 right now. Then obviously Proposition B is the big one in St. Louis County. Race for mayor in St. Louis City. I'm watching we got a couple TV channels, in the studio here. I am seeing a Kara Spencer TV ad like once every 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
She is emptying the clip.
Yes. Yes.
Man.
Yes.
Okay. So here's one of those. We talked a little bit earlier about, this weird trend that's happening with, and it looks like, guys, tell me if you think it was different, but it looks like basically middle school age kids.
Yeah.
And so is this
well, there were a couple of them that actually
older.
looked like teenagers and or young college students. They went real crazy on one of the things that I saw. Yeah, there were shirtless men running around. So.
Oh, not good.
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially the Minecraft movie, and I get kids are going to do dumb stuff. I mean, I did dumb stuff. I'm 53. I still do dumb stuff. But I did more of it when I was younger. And you just kind of have that thing where you get to a certain age, you look and you're going, who's rearing these kids?
Yeah.
I mean, why are you thinking like that? Well, we talk a lot about, no consequences, no discipline, stuff like that. But I don't remember whether it was Jerome or Gabe. You found it was you. You found this clip of this woman who was complaining because the school called her and had to go have a talk with her because her kid got in trouble at school.
Right.
Okay. So set up the rest of this. Then we're going to let everybody hear this. And we're thinking, is this are we rearing like really soft ass kids?
Yeah.
At this point.
And that's really kind of it was the title of this a post that I saw on X. It was in my feed. And basically it's a woman holding a glass of wine, staring into the camera. Usually these are comedy gold from kind of a leftist perspective, but this one kind of struck me because it was kind of mirroring some thoughts and feelings that a lot of parents, I've heard, in my circles have been expressing about their kids dealing with other people's kids. And that's where we get this rant.
Stop raising soft ass kids, okay? I got a call from my kid's assistant principal today because he and his other friend were playing soccer with this other kid at recess. The other kid happened to want to be the goalie, and apparently he sucked. And so he got really upset because the other boys kept scoring goals on him, and there was no teasing involved. I verified. It was just he was so upset that the kids kept scoring goals that he went to the teacher and cried about it. And my kid and the other kid that were playing soccer like normal children got brought to the principal's office. If you call me during the school day, there better been a fight or a physical injury. Do not call me because some soft kid's feelings got hurt because some kid is better than him at sports. What is this world coming to? Prepare your kids to be able to function in the world.
Okay. So let's, for the sake of argument, let's assume everything she said is true.
Yeah.
It is not hard to believe that exact scenario happened in today's public school.
I absolutely there's so many fake things on the internet, but the thing is, I believe this. Look, that pause after, if you call me, I felt that in my bones.
The vitriol in her voice tells it.
It's like, if you call me, look, if I'm in the middle of my work day and you call me about something going on at school and it's some of this bull crap, you know what you get. Oh my gosh, don't do that.
My kids are in their late 20s now. Okay. So it's been a long time removed from when my kids were in that age group. But is it just like forbidden for schools to go, stop crying, grow up. If you don't like it, get better at what can they not do that now?
I guess.
So my younger brother, he's an adult now, but he's about 9 years younger than me. So I was in early college when he was still middle school age. And yeah, no, you are 100% dead right. Everybody has to be equally pathetic. Everybody has to be equally soft. It is like quite literally something similar to this happened to him. And it was, as it escalated, that's why we got the call. But same thing, it was something where they were playing volleyball or something, and then they kept like not spiking it to hurt somebody, but they were spiking the ball. The person kept missing, and so they got mad and started to fight over it. So maybe we need some kids left behind. Like at some point, when do we say stop being an anchor on society? You guys can go be weak and pathetic over there. The rest of us, we have business to take care of. You know?
We need to bring back unsupervised dodgeball matches.
Yes.
There you go.
Remember back in the day where you'd have a dodgeball match, kids are getting pummeled in the face. The girls are in a little group in the back corner, and there's like two boys who are protecting the girls from the flying ball. Right?
That's right.
So yes, just bring it back. There are some kids who get out in the first round and they're sitting over there crying because they could, and we let them cry, and then we made fun of them for crying. And you know what happened? That kid came back and he was like, I got to do better.
Got to do better. And I know a lot of people involved in public education. Very few of them are people that I think should be around kids. To be honest. And one of the reasons is this, because in that academic, and I say academic, I mean, K through 12 public education isn't real academia. I mean, it's really not. It's more of a government indoctrination, babysitting operation than anything. But they really take seriously, we have to preserve their feelings. And when they say we're inclusive, that means we take the dumbest of everybody. And that's what we set the standard for what everybody else has to do. And we bring everybody down.
They're trying to safeguard their emotional well-being.
No, how about, I'm not saying go be cruel and bully kids.
I am. You suck. Your parents suck. Your kids suck. Go homeschool your kids if you want to be a bunch of losers.
Shame
Everybody
on
else
you
should
and
be-
a thousand generations.
The homeschool kids will.
Well, no, the
generally-
homeschool kids are outperforming,
They'll
but
kick everybody else's
But
butts.
yeah, let's give you a broom and a mop. You can go be out in the halls being a little janitor
Right.
while everybody else is learning to be tough.
But the whole idea that your feelings are hurt, therefore we need to stop doing. No, that's how you grow. Is you feel bad about what you didn't accomplish.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
and guess what happens when you get into business world? Guess what happens when you're an entrepreneur? Guess what happens when you go into try to do physical goals like fitness? What happens when you try to go into nonprofit work? You try to go into ministry work. You try to go into anything in the world. You're going to fail, and
Yes.
it's going to feel bad. You need to know how to deal with it.
Well, now that people are bringing their parents with them to job interviews,
Yeah.
hoping that they can talk to the interviewer.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's raise your kids. Don't be soft. And if you're weak, please don't reproduce. That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
I agree. I think that's the referendum we should put on the ballot.
If you're weak, don't reproduce.
I'm on board.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're again looking at a morning freeze, but those temperatures quickly will rise once the sun is up. And temperatures today under sunny skies reaching 56 degrees. We no longer have to worry about a freeze, at least for the extended forecast. By tonight, our temperatures only fall into the 40s. Watching Wednesday and Thursday for a chance of showers and some rumbles of thunder possible as well. Dry for the weekend. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Fox News commentary.
I noticed something about those hands-off protests. I'm Tommy Lahren. I'll share it with you next.
National security is at risk, and China controls most of the world's supply of antimony, a critical metal for military and defense technology. Military Metals Corp is taking action and securing a Western-controlled supply with projects in Europe and North America. Critical minerals are the backbone of modern defense. Now's the time to pay attention. The stock trades on the OTC under ticker MILIF. Call your broker today or go to www.militarymetalscorp.com to learn more.
Over the weekend, tens of thousands of disgruntled leftists gathered in major cities to protest President Trump and Elon Musk. They called it the hands-off protest. It's for sure their right as Americans to protest, and if this is how they get their kicks in social interaction, so be it. I'm glad some of the folks are finally motivated to exercise, but I wonder if these bitter folks realize they aren't accomplishing anything. They call themselves the resistance, and they hate Trump and Elon and Doge and ICE and Border Patrol and tariffs and, well, everything. They are against everything. But what are they for exactly? They don't ever seem to have a solution, always just a problem. That's the narrative of the entire Democrat left right now. We know they want to stop President Trump and his team from doing everything, but what is it they want to do? I haven't heard one policy position that would indicate they have a solution to anything. They offer nothing. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Love your couch but hate sinking into it? Custom Foam has your solution. We specialize in replacing your cushion foam with firmer options, firmer than anything you'll find in furniture stores, and a fraction of the cost of new furniture. Need extra firm support or soft cushioning for your back pillows? We have options you can test in person. From couches to window seats, dining chairs to custom projects. We'll have your furniture feeling like new in just a few days. We even offer same-day service. Visit custom-foam.com. That's custom-foam.com.
Attention St. Charles, looking for a local spot that satisfies all your cravings? Mario's Donut Restaurant is your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches and omelets to delicious gyros, Mexican dishes, salads, and wraps, we've got it all. And don't forget our famous donuts. They're so good, they'll make your eyes glaze over. Dine in or carry out, our friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit. Call 636-447-4515 or visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Confused about tariffs and trade policies? The Hammond Institute at Lindenwood University and News Talk STL present economist Dr. Nicholas L. Zebarth in their H.F. Langenberg Memorial Speaker Series. Join us April 24th as Dr. Zebarth breaks down what tariffs really are, how they work, and separates economic fact from fiction. Don't miss this chance to expand your economic understanding with one of Missouri's leading experts. Reserve your spot now at newstalkstl.com.
Basement with a Y. That's Basement E.
It's Basement Tea.
Basement E?
It's Basement Tea.
Oh, Basement T. Basement T. I get it. That's the basement waterproofing and foundation repair experts at Woods Basement Systems.
Right. The All Things Basement Tea experts at Woods Basement Systems will provide you a free estimate and dry out that wet basement and fix that cracked foundation. Call 800-388-9326 or go online to woodsbasementsystems.com.
That's woodsbasementsystems.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on News Talk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, so what's on the ballot? Let's see here. We've gone kind of all over the metro area on the Missouri side. The polls are open right now. Let's see here. We talked about, I think we've covered pretty much everything here. St. Charles County, a lot of propositions on the ballot for school districts, including Wentzville, and then St. Charles as well, and also some very important school board races going on all over the area. Know who you're voting for. Good rule of thumb. If the teachers union endorses somebody, vote for the other candidate.
Yes.
That's one of the measuring sticks that I have. If you see endorsed by the NEA or endorsed by the ATF, under no circumstances vote for that person. Just my personal rule of thumb there. All right. It is 8:35. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got producer Jerome here. And obviously with Election Day, a lot of eyes are on what's happening in the city. Voters are about to throw Tashara Jones out of her job. I mean, let's be honest. I could try to create a big cliffhanger, but based on what we've seen, Kara Spencer's about to win this race.
Thank goodness. Now, we would still love to see a red candidate in that position instead, but at this point, get Tashara Jones out. That should be the mission.
Yeah, so not that Kara Spencer is going to be ideologically any better on this, but it looks like a change is coming. But what does that mean for the rest of the region? Now joined by former State Senator Bill Eigel, of course, now running for executive of St. Charles County. And Bill, great to chat with you here. We're going to get to that bigger question in just a moment, but when you look at like a city like St. Louis, and this is nothing unique compared to other deep blue cities, it's really a matter of which version of far left ideology do you want, because that's what voters are choosing from. There was one conservative in the primary race, and he finished at like 7 or 8%. He got almost no votes whatsoever. So it's not that I think there's going to be a magical change in the city itself, but maybe there'll be a bigger focus on basic services. But what are you anticipating with the election in the city? And then we can talk about the concerns we've got, what that could mean for the rest of the region.
So good morning, guys. Thanks for having me. I think the mayor of St. Louis election is going to be remembered for the people of the city of St. Louis finally saying that they're dissatisfied with big government leftists running their city, and then turning around and just electing another one to continue running the city. It's kind of like the city of St. Louis has been running on a flat tire that is Tashara Jones for many years now, and she's the latest flat tire in a long line of leftist leaders that have driven St. Louis into the ground and has made St. Louis one of the least attractive places to raise a family, run a business, and protect your family anywhere in the United States. And today is all about the fact that, folks I'm not surprised that they're going to want to change that flat tire. Unfortunately, they're just going to put another flat tire by the name of Kara Spencer onto the car, which tells me that they're not really going to get any more traction. In fact, if you look at the policy positions of Kara Spencer and Tashara Jones, there's virtually no difference. Neither of these candidates have supported the police. Both have publicly said that police ought to be defunded, and they have moved away from policies that would make their city more safe. Any improvements that are happening in the city of St. Louis right now are not happening because of what the mayor's office and the Board of Aldermen are doing, they've been happening because of the state intervening where the city of St. Louis has done such a bad job. Look at when the state had to step in a year ago to remove Kim Gardner as one of the nation's worst prosecutors. And now the state is stepping in to remove control of the police department from local control down there in the city of St. Louis. I'm a guy that loves the local control, but it seems like almost anything these folks touch down there in the city of St. Louis, they don't do a good job managing. So I'm not confident that Tashara Jones is the answer, but I'm also not confident that Kara Spencer is any better of an answer either.
Okay, so here's the reality, Bill, is that most of us who don't live in the city now, I mean, my house is literally like 3 blocks from the city line, but a lot of people just say, well, that's the city, I can just not go downtown at night or whatever the case is. Their problems, their issues, I don't have to worry about it. I don't live there. One of the interesting things that Kara Spencer had said recently, and your team actually brought this to my attention here. This was Kara Spencer being interviewed on, I guess one of the local shows, and the question of the merger question came back up. I thought that we made it clear that we don't want this, but here's what she had to say.
But I think it is absolutely necessary. We've been historically talking about a merger or a combination between the city and county, but I'm increasingly thinking that we could and should consider St. Charles and some of the surrounding areas in some meaningful way. That's not to say one giant government structure, but the broader St. Louis area, we have to figure out how we work better together.
Okay, so I didn't hear her saying basically, a giant regional merger, but some sort of cooperation, but she definitely seemed to be open to trying to reignite some merger talks. I mean, you're in St. Charles County. I live in St. Louis County. How did you interpret what she had to say to that question?
I took it for what I think she meant it was, which is if there's a way that she can get the people of St. Charles County or the people of Franklin County or the people of Jefferson County to pay for the bad decisions that have been going on in the city of St. Louis for a generation, she's going to be supportive of that. And there's no surprise. That shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody because during the Better Together period, they were trying to get the people of St. Louis County to pay for all their bad decisions down in the city of St. Louis. So you make a really good point, Mike, that, a lot of times you think, well, St. Louis, as long as I don't go down there, if I've decided I'm not going to go to a Cardinals game, it kind of lives and exists away from me. But St. Charles County is going to be under the threat of people like Kara Spencer that are going to want the people of St. Charles and the good things that we're doing out here and the prosperity that we're experiencing out here to pay for all their nonsense down that's going on in the city. And I got to tell you, that's just not going to happen. Not only do I think the current county executive, Steve Ellman, is not going to tolerate that, but I can tell you, if the day ever dawns where I'm entrusted in that position, we are not going to allow 1 red cent of St. Charles County prosperity go towards for paying back bad decisions in the city of St. Louis. I'm happy to talk to those guys. I'm happy to sit down with Kara Spencer or Tashara Jones or whomever and sit down and have a discussion about how they can learn from the good things that we're doing well here in St. Charles that they ought to emulate. But I got to be honest, she's going to pay for the coffee. All right. So we're going to protect our interests out here in St. Charles County. And I think they ought to spend their more time looking at how they can emulate what we've been doing right, rather than asking themselves how they can get their hands on our resources.
Okay. So what are the ways that you'd have to be on, what would you have to be on guard for? If you're the county executive or, is Steve still in that office now, is the county executive, what are the ways that you'd want to be on guard for them trying to get that? Because that was the reason we fought against the Better Together merger so hard in St. Louis County, as we saw it for what it was. It was taking all the funding and the resources from the areas that run themselves pretty well and sucking it all into the city where they can't run themselves at all, and just taking our resources into the city. So what are the tactics or what are the proposals you'd be on guard for? And then what do you need to do to kind of inoculate yourself and protect yourself from those from a county perspective? When I say yourself, I mean like St. Charles County or Jeffco or St. Louis County.
Yeah. So there's, as we said, there's the direct path that they'll go for some sort of effort, like another version of Better Together. That's a very out front, very direct path where they're going to try to directly combine certain functions of government or directly access our resources. We're going to be on guard for that, of course, but also there's a lot of regional planning boards and commissions that they can work through, like the East-West Gateway, which is a conglomeration of St. Charles, St. Louis City and St. Louis County that determines road and infrastructure priorities, that they actually, here's what's crazy, on the East-West Gateway that determines all of our infrastructure requirements and priorities, they actually have more seats and more votes on that board to determine priorities than St. Charles County does, even though St. Charles County has a population that's 30 to 40% larger than the city of St. Louis. So we're already up against it. So protecting is having, and Steve Ellman, to his credit, has actually been talking about this, actually reshuffling some of the East-West Gateway or so these other agencies so that they protect St. Charles County interests and they prioritize what we need done out in the county, not just the oversized needs that are going down there in the city of St. Louis. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, but don't also keep in mind that St. Charles County, and this is the same for Franklin County and for Jefferson County, has often been kind of the bulwark against some of the bad ideas coming out of the city and the county. Look no further than the COVID environment, right? Look at what happened in the COVID environment and the insanity that was going on in the city and the county. And where were people going to have a little bit of ounce of freedom? They were coming out to our county. So we're also going to be that example for the region that folks can look to, not just as a protection of their resources, assets, and their lifestyles, but also of their protections of their liberties and rights. So there's a lot of responsibility that's going to come down for the leaders of the collar counties in the St. Louis region to really get us back on track.
Yeah, I definitely crossed the river many, many times to escape the Sam Page COVID nonsense. We're visiting with Bill Eigel, obviously former state senator, now running for executive of St. Charles County. Okay, but there is something to be said for dialogue and cooperation on different things. I'm not hearing you say you want to be isolationist. What's the right level of working with other entities and other jurisdictions?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always willing to have a cup of coffee and sit down with any of these folks and have a productive conversation about how we can work together. There are a lot of areas, especially in St. Louis County, that are trying to adopt how we're doing business in St. Charles or Franklin County or Jefferson County. And so we're going to be reaching out to them and working with them. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to sacrifice our principles. We're not going to sacrifice really what has made St. Charles County successful for more than a generation. We're not going to sacrifice our low tax, low regulation principles that has attracted business, that has made one of our county, St. Charles County, the fastest growing in the state. And we're gonna make sure we have those principles, but certainly we're gonna reach out and work with anybody that's willing to want to genuinely work with us and emulate what we're doing right.
All right, I did not tell you I was going to ask you this, Bill, but obviously today election day in St. Charles County. Any particular pointers? Because there's a lot of us who go to the polls and we get to the polls and try to figure out what we're voting on when we get there. Any recommendations from you regarding stuff that's on the county or on the ballot in St. Charles County?
Well, the big one for me is I'm in the Francis House School District, and I know my wife Amanda and I are going to be going down to vote in that school board race. Randy Cook and Ashley Sturm are two individuals that I think are not only strong conservatives, but understand the necessary requirement of what it means to protect our children from some of this woke ideology that has made it into our school district. So Randy is running for re-election. I was there for the first time he stepped up and said he wanted to run to be a protector in our schools. And so Randy Cook and Ashley Sturm, I've publicly endorsed them. I would encourage anybody who takes seriously the protection of their children from leftist ideologies in their schools to consider supporting Randy and Ashley. And I think we're going to be very pleasantly surprised with what we see when the polls close this evening.
All right. Former State Senator Bill Eigel, obviously, like I said, running for county executive in St. Charles County as well. Bill, appreciate the perspective, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great morning.
All right. Got some thoughts on this. 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on this. Interesting take on Rumble here. And who was it that said this? Let me find it. Yeah, PMS3105. Hate saying this, but St. Charles County isn't as red as you think because of more people moving from the city and the county. It's turning purple slowly every day. That's actually, I think, measurably true. It's still a red, but it's not quite as bright red as it used to be. But I don't think anybody has tracked specifically, but I think that's my guess too. I mean, the city of St. Louis on average loses about 100 people per day leaving the city, when you look at who leaves and then obviously they try to get a few people in to replace them. There's less than 290,000, well, right around 290,000 people, less than 300,000 people in the city. They went somewhere. St. Louis County's population, since Sam Page did all the shutdowns, dropped below 1 million.
Wow.
Those people went somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They went to St. Charles County. They went to Jeffco. And there is some reason to believe that that's absolutely true, that they're doing kind of like what Californians are doing in Texas. They're moving out and bringing bad ideas and bad votes with them.
Yep.
So you do have to be on guard. That's why electing the right people, especially in the primary, matters a lot. Got some thoughts on it? Let's talk. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Chicken Little is hatching eggs. Now more and more of them are crying out, the sky is falling, the sky is falling.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right, we're going to have reaction to whatever the votes turn out to be throughout the morning tomorrow. I mean, you can look up on your social media and get the numbers anywhere. I'll do that. We'll have those tonight. But what will it mean? And that's what we're going to be talking about a lot tomorrow. So if something happens, you're really excited today or you're really upset about it, let's have those conversations tomorrow.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And, I've been around long enough. Some of these races, I'm like, I think I know what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure Kara Spencer is going to beat Tashara Jones. I think Bill Eigel is correct. It's replacing one left-wing ideologue with another. But at the very least, Kara Spencer has made it clear that she's going to put some effort into basic services. But I don't think her ideology is going to be any better than Tashara Jones. I don't think that. I mean, it's levels of how far left are we going to be?
Yeah, from what I've seen, I'm a little tiny bit hopeful, just a little tiny bit. But at the end of the day, I mean, how many times can you replace the same thing with the same thing but different a little tiny bit and then expect big changes that are going to be beneficial?
Right. Yeah. And and if you say, well, it's just the basic functions. If she can do that, then the city is going to, no, listen, the city lost control of its police department. Now we say the city, every member of that board, police commissioner, the board of commissioners at the new state law, every single one of those people is a St. Louisan.
Yeah.
Okay. So the city is still overseeing its own police department. The state did not take over.
Yeah.
But the state appointed board, and everybody on that board has to be a resident of the city of St. Louis. So the governor's not on it. The lieutenant governor's not on it. Nobody from, Chillicothe's on it. Nobody from Springfield's on it. Nobody from Columbia's on it. But at this point, at least there is more oversight, and that new law is going to require the city to spend more money on law enforcement and first responders and protection. So Tashara Jones, Kara Spencer, they don't have a choice in that. Kara Spencer is going to be on that board, of commissioners once she wins this election. But she's only going to be one vote out of many, and her vote is going to be equal to the representative from the police officers union that's on that as well. So that's a step in the right direction. But the reality is, until they become business friendly, reality is that when they deal with the vagrant homeless situation in a real way, when they stop being so inviting to illegal aliens, when they start doing things the right way to protect the people who are going to come in and have the ability to invest in a neighborhood, invest in a city, not get into just a neighborhood association to lobby city government for stuff, because that's really the way a lot of this is structured right now. Well, are you active in your neighborhood group? Okay, well, then you have your meeting, you lobby the city, you try to work out deals. And that's instead of people who come in normal cities and you buy your property, you buy your home, you set up your homestead, for lack of a better term, and you invest because it's what you and your family need. And then collectively you build a community based on your family unit.
Yes, if they would just cut the ideological nonsense and just focus on restoring the city to its former glory, we would see such a rush of people into the city that we would see probably a giant economic boom, which would then increase their funding for everything else that they want to do. And instead, it looks like they're trying to do is make it the hotspot for weirdos that are coming from these other deep blue places where it's like, well, you're just a little bit less blue than us, so that's good enough. Let's all flood there. And it's not working. When will you just admit it's not working? We need to do something serious and stop prancing around like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're not, unless you're looking at like Lindell on all the, $10 million homes out there, you look into the real parts of the city, dollar for dollar, you got some really inexpensive real estate that's available. They built all sorts of lofts and everything downtown. A lot of those are empty because it's not safe to be there.
Yes.
But once they address public safety, you can at least get that first wave if you want to start rebuilding the city. And maybe some of these deep blue voters who are going to St. Charles County, for instance, will start going back into the city. And then you've got to fix the school district, because what happens is, and we saw this in other cities, we've seen this in Kansas City, we've seen it in other areas where, the young professionals move in and they've got money and they're partying and they're going to the cool, concert venues and bars and all that. And you get that first wave of success. And you're like, see, it works. Look at all this, planning and zoning we've done. It works. And then they get into the late 20s and early 30s. They start having kids and they look around. They're like, we can't send our kids to these schools.
Oh, yeah.
And then they move out to the suburbs anyway to get away from the school district. So there's a first wave and then there's a second wave. I don't have any confidence that St. Louis City is going to fix them in any wave. At some point, the city just basically has to bottom out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unfortunate. I mean, again, St. Louis is one of those historic cities where, everybody's heard of it, and there's no excuse. There's no reason for things to be the way they are, except it's much more popular for people that don't pay attention to the reality of the situation to say, well, they have the right flags, they have the right pronouns, and therefore people need to start taking this more seriously, because it's not, we don't want to see this become Detroit.
No, not. And even Detroit at some point bottomed out and they said, okay, we got to start making some changes.
Yes.
And they're rebuilding some areas of Detroit. Detroit's not as bad as it used to be. It's still pretty bad in some areas, but St. Louis may just have to hit rock bottom, before they do that. All right. I've got some work to do here at the radio station, but right after that, I am going to go vote yes on Prop B today in St. Louis County. Please don't leave this one to chance. Make sure your voice is heard, especially if it's yes on Prop B. If you're against it, don't worry about it. You don't need to show up to vote.
Chicken jockey.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies